What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 177 of the Tastecast, our weekly podcast where we talk about random things in gaming. My name's Seth. Joining me today on my left, your right, is Chevy. Chevy, we're filming on the weekend again, which is good. For anybody who wants to know a little bit behind the curtain, we've been filming kind of when the topics have been more interesting, and we're trying to get back to filming on the weekends. The energy will be better. A lot of times we film after work, which really sucks, especially because my brain's not working anymore.
Plus, it's getting cold right now.
It's getting cold. Yeah. What do you mean?
It affects my energy levels.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm like tired all the fucking time, like way more than I was before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be filming on the weekends again, doing a steady schedule. So expect episodes to come out like Sunday, Monday. So yeah, we're doing that. So hopefully you're feeling energized, ready to talk, and hopefully doing well. And have you been hearing about what's going on with Pokemon? And if you have, maybe you want to fill in people on the vagueness of some of the things we're hearing about it.
Yeah, so I mean, it has been hard for me to not see it. Every time I open up TikTok, there's someone posting a new graphical glitch or falling through the map, or
I saw somebody going up a wall.
Yeah, or in the middle of battle, an NPC or a Pokemon just walking through like the middle of it and stuff. I don't know. It's
that's straight up like Cyberpunk on launch shit.
It's pretty buggy. Even in like the someone taking like screenshots, the person in the background's like elbow will be out like this, and they're just like twitching and shit. I was like, okay,
which is kind of wild because like it's a Nintendo
AAA
game.
Yeah,
you expect Nintendo quality.
I do, and I have no doubt that the game's probably still fun. Don't get me wrong, but I think. And I think the community's been saying this for a while, especially since they've gone to Switch with these games, is that Pokemon being annual is not doing it any favors anymore. They need development time when they're making these games. You can see a game like Xenoblade is a good example of a very like well thought out and designed world that is graphically nice to look at with full fields of like flora and stuff like that. You play Pokemon, you get these really desolate blank landscapes and now full of bugs, because not only are they having to like, you know, they're trying to make all these like bigger open world style games. Basically they're also they have so many Pokemon now that the amount of stuff they have to do just in that part of the game development alone, I don't think a year's enough. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I was seeing some stuff early on that I thought people were just kind of bitching about, mostly just like graphical stuff. People were like, oh, and they're comparing it to other. At first, they were just comparing it to games in general. People were like, well, it's a Switch game. It's just the hardware. And people start comparing it to Xenoblade Chronicle 3, Breath of the Wild, and other games. And I was looking at the pictures, and Pokemon, it was just like a flat world, no foliage, a couple trees here and there, and I was like, that looks pretty bad.
Yeah,
to be honest. And I could look past it.
The last game was like that too.
That's fair. I can look past it, even though it is really bad when you look at other Switch games that are doing this just fine. But then I start seeing like the glitches and the bugs, and I'm like, oh, yeah, there's just like production problems with this game for sure. There has to be. If the game isn't looking that great and also has a bunch of bugs, it sounds like they were having issues in the development, or it got rushed, or the team's not as talented as it once was. Maybe the transition into like 3D open world is you know, too taxing for them. I don't know, but it's been really interesting. I have fallen out of Pokemon a long time ago, so I'm not like the biggest dude on Pokemon. I don't follow it, but it's been very interesting to see on Twitter specifically so much memes and criticism of this game.
Kind of unfortunate too, because like I guess it's like 4-player co-op and everything. Like
that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
How the hell's that work? What do you do?
I don't know. I just know that it has co-op. So
4-player co-op would be sick.
Yeah.
In a game that ran fine.
It's a buggy mess. So people are playing it just fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just kind of, you look at this $60 game you bought though, and I'm confused on how they managed to let so many bugs get through. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I didn't have any ambitions of picking this up in the first place, so it doesn't really affect me. But it does suck to see that for Pokemon fans, for Game Freak, They're the ones that make it. And then just a Nintendo game to have that kind of problem, because that's not something you expect from Nintendo products. So hopefully they can figure that out, but I don't know. It's just so weird to see. It's not what I'm used to when it comes to Nintendo. So yeah, you haven't picked it up. Do you plan on picking it up?
I think I'm gonna let them patch it.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine they won't. I do want to pick it up, but I have so many things that are higher priority right now. Like quite the list, in fact, which kind of sucks because I actually really enjoy Pokemon games, but especially since they have started making more and more cooperative features, especially in like Sword and Shield, having the raids and stuff like that was really cool. So they got cool ideas gameplay wise. I'm starting to get kind of tired of all the new Pokemon. They look ridiculous, but that could just be me being a boomer.
Yeah, I just feel like there's just... I never want to be an absolutist and say like there's only so many Pokemon you can make, so that's stupid, but like I feel like there's an expectation of that they need to make new Pokemon, and so with that pressure, they might not feel as inspired as if they just thought up naturally. Like a Pokemon that's fucking worth making. I heard they passed 1,000 though.
Yep.
Which is pretty crazy.
Finally.
Yeah, they got a whole ecosystem going on. But
yeah, which in itself is an interesting idea because I mean, you look at real life, right? So
there's just that gen where like Pokemon start looking like aliens, and that's where I was just not interested.
Yeah, I think
it was like 4, maybe
5. It was 5. Yeah.
A lot of humanoid Pokemon. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, in all fairness, I had humanoid Pokemon Gen 1 with like Mr. Mime and stuff, but
sure. And Machamp? I don't remember Pokemon names.
Yeah,
Machamp's like the humanoid kickboxer one.
Oh no, Hitmontop and Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know there's been humanoid ones, but they just became more like alien-like, more smooth, more just like they
smooth
like
for sure.
Like they came from another planet.
Even and I don't know the name of it, but the little dirt bike Pokemon that's your mount basically in the game.
Dirt bike Pokemon?
Yeah, it's literally a quadruped that has wheels coming out of its like chest and its pelvis.
No, is that real?
Yeah, and it pulls its legs up so you can drive like a motorcycle. It's goofy as fuck. So,
I hate that.
Yeah, well, it's in the game, so
I gotta look that up.
But yeah, so stuff like that's kind of weird. It doesn't affect my want to play the game, but I can't take that thing very seriously. So
yeah, I don't even want to see it honestly. It's kind of fucking ruined Pokemon for me. But yeah, so you're waiting for the patch. I'm not gonna pick it up, but let us know in the comments unless you have something else to say on it.
No.
Let us know in the comments. Have you guys played Pokemon? What is it?
Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and Violet. Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? Are you experiencing bugs? And what do you think about the whole Pokemon fiasco that's happening right now? Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. So yeah, let's talk about what we've been playing. You tell me your list is one game. Yeah. So let's start with you.
I've been playing God of War Ragnarok. We're going to talk about it at the end of the month for Game of the Month, so I can't really talk about it too much. I will say this. Every time I do play the game, I play for about 6 to 7 hours straight. Take that as you will.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of also add to this. I've also been playing God of War Ragnarok. It's our game of the month, so we'll be discussing it at the end of the month. We plan on beating it, unless you have.
Oh.
Okay. We plan on finishing it by the end of the month so that we can review it as a whole. We'll probably try and have like a full conversation like we do, but we want to actually like be able to grade the whole game finished. I'm trying to think about like how that's going to work for people who don't want spoilers. Maybe we can film the discussion and then at the end we can just do a small little non-spoiler thing and put it at the beginning. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But anyway, I've also been playing it. Can't talk about it too much, but yeah, it's hard for me to start playing it if I only have like an hour or two to play.
Agreed.
I'll play something else because like it's a game that I don't want to get little bits of. I need to play chunks of it because it's such a story-heavy game.
Constantly.
And the combat's like super involved. It's just like a game that is not like, oh, hop in and play a match real quick and then leave. It's like you got to invest time in it. And so in the last week, I've not had a whole lot of time to play it, but just in case people are curious on my progression without telling you any spoilers or anything, I am about 14 hours into the game. So apparently the game you can beat in like 20 some hours. So I guess I'm close to halfway through it.
I must be getting close then. I didn't feel very close, but
Well, I don't know if that's like explore every nook and
I'm
cranny
doing
time.
every
Yeah, so
side
you're
quest.
probably gonna. I don't think you'll beat it like the average time, but yeah. So I'm like 14 hours into it. I should be further, but I haven't had long enough chunks of time to play it. But how many hours do you have in the game?
Somewhere between 20 and 25, I'd say.
Okay, so yeah, you're pretty far into it.
Yeah.
Unless you've just been doing a lot of like hanging out, looking at the scenery.
I do that sometimes.
It's got cool scenery sometimes.
No, I've just been doing every side quest, trying to find little secrets in every little nook and cranny because the game is very filled with stuff to do.
I will say the side quests are worth doing.
Agreed.
They are
They add tidbits to the world.
fully fleshed out.
Yeah. But it's similar to the last God of War as well.
Yeah.
So, man, it's so hard to talk about this without talking about it. Yeah, there's a lot to do. And I find the problem you said, which is there's constantly dialogue happening.
Mm-hmm.
And the pacing of the game makes it difficult to just like play for short periods. I have to like find moments to be like, that's a good stopping point, shut it off.
That's the point right there that I didn't make. Sometimes you're like in the middle of a narrative that's happening and you don't want to just stop here.
Yeah.
You're still unraveling something, and sometimes you get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm good there, and then you can hop off. That's literally where I ended last time. I was playing as like 6 a.m. or something, and I was like, I gotta go to bed, and I just kept playing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can stop there because I was in oh god, I'm in Vanaheim right now,
Yeah.
but I was in Jotunheim, and the story that was happening there, I was like, I can't just stop in the middle of this. I need resolution. I need to understand what's happening here and how I'm leaving and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so to give you context where I'm at, I'm like 2, maybe 3 zones past that now.
Okay.
So I knocked out a lot last night. So
Yeah. I'm planning on playing more later today because I need to put time in. But I'll have some time this week to play with the holidays and stuff. So,
true.
anything vague you have to say about it?
No, I literally am struggling. So
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it, but I also have so much to say about it. So it's like it's really hard. But we don't have to play around with it. We can just not talk about it. So
sounds good.
all right. So that's all you've played in the last week, outside of like mobile games or some shit.
I say I got some mobile games I played, but they're not even worth talking about.
No Final Fantasy.
No, I only log into Raid. We're in a content lull right now. So.
Very interesting. Okay, well, I've also been playing God of War Ragnarok. Plan on playing more tonight, hopefully. We'll probably go through this pretty quick, maybe. I got a little bit to say on 2 games. I've been playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic again. I had an itch to start playing that like 2 weeks ago. I've been playing it a lot lately. And that's going well. I am finally getting to the point in that game where I feel like I have almost everything unlocked, which is starting to feel bittersweet, especially with my driller, which is my main class. I have like almost nothing to unlock for him anymore. There's a couple things. There's some cosmetic stuff I need to get, but I almost have all of that as well. And then some mods for my guns. But other than that, I'm pretty supreme with him. I'm done. Which feels good, but also sucks because it was fun. And there'll be more content, of course, but it's
You're gonna go through content lulls.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so that game is great, though. Definitely recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite games. I love that fucking game. So smart and clever. Yeah. Let's see. Been playing Modern Warfare 2 some more whenever I have, like, that's the game that, like, if I got, like, an hour or two, I can, like, hop in, do, like, my dailies or whatever, knock some shit out.
Boy, that is the game everyone at work's playing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are playing it. It's definitely for a game that so many people were complaining about. There's a shitload of people playing it. Well, So Call of Duty's always had a lot of content. I've always argued this for a long time. People are like, why is Call of Duty so popular? I'm like, they offer a lot. Like, you buy one game, you get a shitload of stuff. There's been a couple that haven't as much, but this one is definitely doing exactly what I bring up when I tell people why it's popular. It launched. It had the multiplayer. It had a campaign that people really like. It has a co-op mode. It has a bunch of stuff already. And then season 1 has come out, and they added a battle pass, which has 100 tiers. I want to talk about that because they did a really interesting thing with that. They added DMZ mode, which is essentially Tarkov Light. You take equipment into a map. If you die, you lose that equipment. If you gather a bunch of equipment and leave, you keep the equipment. So there's a risk and reward aspect to it. I'll talk about that in a sec. And then they also added Warzone 2.0, which I've played. It's a battle royale. And they added a mode control. They added like 2 or 3 guns. They added a bunch of stuff. This game is, I don't know where you start if you want to play this. Like, there's so many games in this one game. It's insane. And they plan on releasing an expansion to it next year. So it's pretty crazy. Without talking about Modern Warfare 2 too much, I'll be more specific. First off, I want to talk about the Battle Pass. So everybody knows how Battle Passes work. I fucking hate Battle Passes, but they're better than loot boxes.
By a long shot.
Yeah, but I hate the idea of content that should just be in the game, the unlock, being held behind separate progression that incentivizes you to give them $10.
FOMO.
Yeah, it's a shitty system, and it doesn't feel fun or organic or anything like that. So I miss games like, back in the day, this is an old game, but like Time Splitters, where like you just play the game and whatever you do, you just unlock all these characters and shit. Nowadays, there'd be a battle pass you'd have to slog through to unlock shit. So anyway, the thing that they're doing with this one's really interesting. It's probably one of the best battle passes I've ever seen. So it works the same as most battle passes in the sense that you play the game, you have dailies, you have challenges that give you experience towards your battle pass. But in this, you start on one section of a map. And in that, there's 4 items to unlock and then a 5th one after you've unlocked the 4 items. When you've completed that chunk, which took 5 tokens to complete, you now have access to any adjacent part of the map. You can go any direction. So you can go like right, up, or, diagonal. You go to the next chunk of the map, and there's 4 things to unlock and then a 5th thing after you unlock the 4. So it takes 5 to unlock the whole chunk of the map. The thing I like about that is that you're not just going on a linear path to 100 to unlock everything. Maybe you have a limited amount of time. Maybe there's a specific thing you want to unlock before something else. You can actually path your way to it, which I think is interesting. Now, again, I don't like battle passes, so I'm not like trying to say this thing's amazing. But the small interactivity of the battle pass, I think, is a nice touch. Mm-hmm. It makes it at least a little interesting. I can actually look through the stuff and go, all right, I got like 6 tokens. Let's go this way. Let's get that gun unlocked. It's not like, 25, you unlock the gun. So I think it's a much better system.
A little more choice involved.
Yeah.
Instead of just going down a horizontal progression.
Yeah, so there's kind of like a strategy to it, which I think is kind of neat. I mean, if you're going to, no life it, you're going to unlock the whole thing. But maybe you're like, fuck, dude, I don't got enough time to play through this whole thing. But you want specific things.
Maybe you're in your 30s and have a job.
Exactly. I got the Vault Edition of Modern Warfare 2, though. So I got 50 tokens instantly. So
pay to win.
Yeah, so I unlocked half the, not 50 tokens. I got enough to get halfway through the fucking battle pass. So I was at 50%. And there's a last section of the battle pass that if you get 100%, you get access to what's in that. So there is a final section that you don't have access to unless you do the whole thing. So there is that incentive for the people who are going to like no life it.
Yeah.
So it's a neat idea. I'm glad to see somebody at least try and do something with the battle pass, because they're not exciting. So they always just feel like an obligation. It's not like it's not fun gameplay. It's just like,
it sucks because they're in everything now too.
I know, and I fucking hate it.
Even Final Fantasy 14 has, though there's no premium version. Mm-hmm. I was just like, are we really doing seasonal battle passes in this too? So
they work. People don't complain about it. Well, some people do, but I just think they feel less exploitative than like loot crates.
My biggest problem is it doesn't feel like a gameplay element. It feels like work.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like an obligation for me. Yeah. I feel like I have to put in hours to progress through this thing. And you could argue, well, that's what you're doing when you play a game, when you're progressing. Yeah, but I want to do that.
You don't want to be thinking about
Yeah.
hitting these checkpoints, because then you're going to have that fear of missing out or that obligation or whatever. You just want to play a game because the game is fun. And if the game is fun enough, you're going to sink those hours in. Right?
Yeah, I'll grind the fuck out on a game if I enjoy playing it. I have a lot of hours in Deep Rock Galactic. I haven't thought about it. And Deep Rock Galactic has a battle pass as well, but it's free. So it's just content you unlock as you play, and then anything that was in that season gets thrown into the game after or when the next season starts. So
yeah, that's how 14 says too.
They have so they have a better system in that regard, and they're not trying to. They should, but they don't milk money from people. So anyway, battle passes just don't feel fun. They don't feel good, and so that's a big problem for me. But Infinity Ward's trying stuff, and I like that. So at least they're changing it up. So played Warzone 2.0 though. There is changes that a lot of people are upset about because
change is bad.
Warzone 1.0 was based off of Modern Warfare 2019. They had like slide canceling, all sorts of shit. So people expect Warzone to have that. Well, now that Modern Warfare 2 has gotten rid of a bunch of that stuff and movement is a little more rigid, a little more stiff, a little more slower paced, even though I think it's super fast paced, but it's slower than 2019's Modern Warfare. That is translated to 2.0 now. So even if you don't want to play Modern Warfare 2 and you're like a Warzone person, you've inherited Modern Warfare 2's gameplay into Warzone 2.0. So a lot of people are complaining about that. I don't fucking care. I like it. Although I'm seeing videos of these people doing this move where they do the dive and they're able to fucking glide for a second because of it. So there's people just jumping in the air and flying through the air like Superman.
Give people tools to figure out how to break them.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy how they try to do that. Before that, I saw all these like proto glitches where people were like trying to figure out how to like get movement to do weird stuff. Like I saw a TikTok of some guy going like, this is a slide cancel in Modern Warfare 2. He's doing all this weird shit with his controller. I'm like, people aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are really desperate to get an edge on other people and try to game the mechanics in the game. And this game has a lot of mechanics, so it's pretty much the same. They've changed a lot of things though. But it's still a battle royale, so while I was playing it, I feel fatigued still. Like I'm just not in the mindset of wanting to play a battle royale. So yeah, that's not really doing a whole lot for me, but it works. It's still functional. They've changed the gulag, which is different looking now. There's different things you can do there. I only went there once, so I didn't. Well, I only participated in once. Another time I went there, nobody showed up at the gulag, and it just put me back in the game. So. Let's see, what else did they change to Warzone 2.0? I don't know, I barely played it, so I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. But they added a mode called DMZ. DMZ is Tarkov Lite, essentially, if you're familiar with that. I kind of explained it earlier, but essentially, you go on a map, you do random missions against NPCs. There's other players running around the map as well, and you can run into them. So it's similar to Tarkov, kind of similar to Hunt Showdown. Not as good as either, but an interesting attempt at it. And yeah, I've been playing that, and I like that a lot more than Warzone 2.0. It's fun to get geared up, get guns that are called contraband. Those are guns that you can lose, and then go in, do a bunch of missions, and then exfil out. There's all these phones all over the map that you have to find, and when you activate them, they start up mini missions, and you get rewards for those. And so while you're doing that, you can still run into other players. Some will spawn certain situations. So there was this one where it was me and Psycho. We were there was a boat we had to secure. Then we had to get in the boat and then drive it to a checkpoint.
Okay.
As soon as we got in the boat and started driving it to the checkpoint, helicopters came after us. And so we had to shoot at those while I was driving. They were shooting at it. and once we get to the checkpoint, it completes the mission, and then you have, I think, a match of DMZ is like 20 minutes. So in that time, you have to do as much as you can, get as much gear as you can, and then exfil out. It's interesting because there's predetermined sections on the map where the helicopter's at, and when somebody takes it and leaves, you have to wait for it to like it has like a cooldown, I think, because I've been to one before where the helicopter wasn't there anymore, or you couldn't call the helicopter, but then if you waited, you could do it again. But by the end of the match, I think there's less and less helicopters to leave, and there's one exfil left. So the longer you stay, the harder it's going to become to get out. Yeah, so it's really interesting. There's also like unique buildings that have keys and key cards to get into them, which are known as strongholds. And so when you're playing, you can find like a key or a key card or buy a key card, and then you can choose to do a stronghold. When you do a stronghold, it alerts people that you're doing it. And so you have to expect somebody's going to show up.
That's like the Monster and Hunt then, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just like that. You said Monster Hunt. I was like, Hunter?
Monster and Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that for sure. Because, yeah, as soon as you open the door, it's like, or you'll be playing, it's like someone is doing a stronghold, and it's like, half time I'm like, I don't give a fuck, and I just like go do my thing. But there's one time we were doing one, and some dudes showed up and went fucking nuts on us. But, so it's definitely going to attract certain people who are feeling a little more aggressive with that kind of thing. But yeah, DMZ's pretty fun. I like it. There's people saying it's pointless, which I think is weird because when you play it, hopefully you're having fun and you progress the same as you do when you play Warzone or if you play multiplayer. So I'm like, and I keep seeing this point made. People are like, it's pointless. It's pointless. It doesn't make sense to play it. I'm like, well, does it make sense to play any mode? Like, does it make like, are they all pointless?
I'll say if it's accomplishing the same stuff as the other game modes, how is it pointless?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a good argument on it. People are saying just playing it doesn't make sense.
You don't like it. It sounds like.
I think some of the criticism is they don't see the point of going in, building up your gear just to leave and come back and possibly lose your gear or just get more gear.
It just sounds like the game mode's not for them.
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, so just play something else. Like but you're still progressing. So it's like the argument that's pointless is stupid.
Sure, it's just like I'm not a big fan of roguelikes for a similar reason. I don't like the starting over constantly.
Sure,
it feels bad to me. So
yeah. And I kind of get where they're coming from in some sense because like Tarkov and Hunt, when you complete matches, you get XP doing this as well. But you accrue money that you can buy stuff with outside of the match. And in Tarkov, you can invest in like your base. And in Hunt, you can buy all sorts of like stuff, and you get like perks you unlock and stuff. And so when you lose that character, you lose all that progression. Whereas in this, you just keep the gear you got. And you go back in, you keep building up your gear. And that was made very aware to me when I had a large backpack. There's medium and large. You can carry more. I had a police station key. I had a gas mask. I had all sorts of shit. And then I died, and all that was gone now. So I had to go reacquire that again. So yeah, I just think people, they're just not interested in this game mode.
Which is
that's
fine,
about
obviously,
it. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I just think the phrasing
pointless is stupid. Yeah,
is the issue for sure. But yeah, DMZ is fun. I like those kind of games. It does feel like a lighter version of the type of games I do typically enjoy more, but it's definitely welcome. And when it comes to DMZ and Warzone 2 coming out at the same time, I like the choices. They do kind of have some similarities in their vibe, but DMZ is definitely up my alley. So if I'm kind of sick of playing multiplayer, it's a fun game to kind of hop into and have that option to play. So, and games like that need more competition. There's like Hunt Showdown, Tarkov. There's that Marauders game that came out that was so fucking full of hackers that I refunded it instantly.
I saw a clip of that on TikTok the other day.
Yeah, people were playing it.
Yeah.
I should maybe look at it again, but yeah, my early impression was it's too
exploitive,
too prone to hackers. So I'm not gonna give people my money and put time into a game that I'm gonna get fucked over nonstop like that. So, so anyway, long story short, I think there needs to be more games in this ecosystem, and Call of Duty even touching it is smart because they should have their finger on the pulse on every genre, but also it kind of adds some awareness to this genre for people who are maybe only playing Call of Duty. They might play this and be like, oh, is there other games like this? And yeah, there is. They're much better. But Call of Duty plays very well, so they have that going for them. Yeah, so DMZ is cool. And then new guns, they're cool. I don't have much to say on that. Control is an interesting game mode. Essentially, one team is attacking, one team's defending. There's an A and a B section. They have 3 sections apiece. A and then B has 3 sections. You hold the position. It starts filling the bars. I think once you get one of the 3 sections filled, it can't
go back.
Yeah, it can't go back. And you're essentially trying to capture this point, capture this point. You can split up. You can have your whole team go to A and just take the point, or all go to B, take the point, and then all go to A after that. And then the team's trying to stop you. I think it's okay. I don't know if I'll play it again, but I'm happy that they're adding modes. Josh hated it as soon as it started. He was like, I don't know what's happening. And by the end of it, he's like, I don't fucking care, dude. I hate this. I'm like, all right. So we played it. We stopped playing it. I don't know if I'll play it again. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't the most fun thing. They added Tier 1, which is what they're calling hardcore now, which is definitely my cup of tea. I'm a hardcore player in most COD games, so I was waiting for Tier 1 to come out. There's no HUD. Pretty much 1 to 2 bullets kills anybody, and everything just feels a little more hardcore. I guess Tier 1 now. Did pretty well in that. That's more my speed, so definitely is advantageous for me to play that mode. But also, I wish they would add more modes to it. They only have like 2/3 of the modes in Tier 1, and the one I really think should be in Tier 1 is Prisoner Rescue, which is essentially a mode. It's CSGO. There's 2 hostages. You got to grab them and get them out of there. That's not in Tier 1, and I don't understand why. Because that mode would be awesome with a slower paced, more methodical gameplay where you have to really like watch your corners and like be aware of what's going on. So hopefully they add that, but we will see. Other than that, though, they got like Search and Destroy, which you expect. It would be a crime against humanity if they did not have Search and Destroy in hardcore, but it's there, or Tier 1, and I'm not going to call it Tier 1. I keep calling it hardcore. So yeah, I would like to see some modes come to it. Knockout would be cool in there, but that's a really chaotic mode, so I don't know how well it'll do. Domination on hardcore is fucking atrocious, because Domination is essentially Battlefield where you're taking 3 points constantly and everybody's fighting over that. And it's already a hectic mode anyway. I like playing it on core, but in hardcore, there's so many bullets flying everywhere that you're murdering and getting murdered nonstop. It's just fucking mayhem, and not in a fun way. So yeah, maybe I'll keep that to core. But yeah, all in all, that's all my opinions on the things that were added to Modern Warfare 2. I'm still playing it, still enjoying it. I'm enjoying the amount of content they added in Season 1. They also added their new version of Prestige, where when you're 55, you now pass it, and that's your first Prestige, which they've done in prior Call of Duties. It's not the classic Call of Duty where you have to restart from the beginning. Now I'm like, 60, 70 something, and now it's a blue number instead of a white number. And then at a certain point, I don't know where it's at, maybe it's another 55 you'll hit Prestige 2, and maybe your color will change then, I'm not sure, but that's how they're handling it this time around. But that was added in Season 1 as well. Yeah, all in all, pretty cool, having fun with it, and yeah, definitely enjoying Modern Warfare 2. Still haven't played the campaign. Yeah, then lastly, I picked up and played, and I am not prioritizing this game because I have other games to play, but I bought Warhammer 40k Darktide. If you know what that is, it is made by Fat Shark, the same people who made Vermintide and Vermintide 2. Arguably the best Warhammer games that exist. Vermintide and Vermintide 2 are fantastic. So I didn't do a whole lot of research into Darktide before it came out because I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy that. What are you talking about? It's literally Vermintide 40k. And that's pretty much what it is. So yeah, playing it is like a brand new, well, not that brand new. It feels like Vermintide, but in terms of like progression, the classes, features, I did not do any research because I was just like, I'm gonna buy the game no matter what. Like I love Vermintide 2. And so far it's really fun. It's really interesting though because so much of it feels like Vermintide because it has like it's a 4-player cooperative game. In case you didn't play Vermintide, and this is similar, almost the same. It's essentially taking on and evolving the Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood, now Back 4 Blood style game where you start from one spot and you go through and you try to get to the end. There's a bunch of hordes attacking you. Enemy types will be sent after you through an AI in case you're separating, stuff like that. And so that's its core gameplay. The thing that's interesting is it's 40K, so there's still a shitload of melee in it. Every character is melee-centric. They all have swords, axes, all sorts of stuff. But now they got guns, which is very interesting. And so did the enemies. And so you're running through, you're cutting through hordes or whatever, but you're shooting people. There's now like snipers and stuff that you have to look out for and pull out guns to shoot them. There's like assault rifles. I think they're shotguns. I've never used one. There's like semi-automatic rifles. There's pistols, all sorts of stuff. So that changes up the formula. There's also a move now, which I think is interesting. You know how like in Left 4 Dead or Vermintide, you can like block but also shove crowds?
Yes.
In this, if you block, shove, and hold the button, you'll shove and then swing.
Okay.
Which is like such a small thing, but I fucking love it. So like when crowds are pushing against you, you can shove and start hitting them, which is like I don't know. It's such a small thing, and I'm like, this is such an improvement. Like every single one of these games need this now. You know, in a game where you shoot, I guess it's a little harder to figure out what you would be doing, but in a game where you have like a sword, it makes sense that you'd be swinging at them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's 4 classes, similar to Vermintide, where you play as I don't know the Warhammer people class names, but there's oh god, size something, Techer thing. I don't remember. It's essentially a mage class. I don't even know what they do. I haven't even played them. They do like psychic shit, I think.
Okay. I don't know 40K.
Sarah,
so.
yeah, Sarah's playing that character. I am playing a something preacher, and that's essentially a close range class that's meant to jump into crowds and be able to swing at people and shoot at them, or whatever. Their close range class. There's oh my god, toughness. So in this game, you have your health and then you have toughness, and toughness is essentially a shield. When your toughness gets worn away, then your health starts getting eaten up.
Okay.
And the character I'm playing, they have all these abilities to build their toughness back up while they're fighting. So it's essentially kind of like a berserker class, it feels like.
Yeah.
And so that's who I'm playing. I'm enjoying it. Their ability lunges them forward and then rebuilds their toughness, and then they have all these things that like when I attack an enemy, my toughness gets rebuilt and stuff. So it keeps you in the crowd. You want to stay in the crowd to keep your toughness up. Anyone who's like a Warhammer fan, but specifically a 40K fan, is probably like, this guy knows nothing. I don't.
Not pretending to know here.
Yeah. Then there's a big dude. I forgot what that class is called, but I put like 10 hours into this game, but I just played the preacher. Josh is playing the big guy though. They're essentially a tank. They're meant to take a lot of damage. It's funny to look at them too because they have like a knife, but it looks like a sword to the rest of the people because it's so fucking big.
Okay.
Josh has a shovel that just looks like you could like dig the fucking Grand Canyon with it. Like it's just like this giant fucking shovel. I was like, who is making that shovel? I guess those people would be making the shovels if they needed one. But yeah, that one's really interesting. A lot of times it's me and Josh in the crowd because like he's just tanking hits or whatever, and I'm sitting there fucking just hitting as much people as I can to try and keep my toughness up. Those big guys drive me nuts though, because a lot of times when I'm shooting, they'll rush ahead of me and I just shoot them in the back because now my whole vision is gone. My whole view is obscured. And then there's a sharpshooter class that's no one's playing. And they essentially just do like they do more damage to critical points. I think they're just like a ranged damage class. I kind of wanted to play one, but they sounded boring, so I didn't. So yeah, those 4 classes all look very different. There's cosmetics, not a lot so far, but there's cosmetics. You can change the way your character looks. You also make a character, which I think is interesting. Vermintide didn't have that.
Yeah,
so
I played characters.
Yeah, I actually spent a little bit of time making my character, so it's not like the most robust character creator, but it was enough for me to think about it. But it's Warhammer, so everyone's ugly as fuck, and I had to embrace that. So I just like made my dude the way he looks.
I mean, they're getting their asses kicked constantly. Can't be pretty. So
yeah. There's so many scar options for your face, and they're all like gross. Like your face is like burnt, or like it looks like it's been boiled, or like scars all over your face or whatever. You also get to pick a background story for your character through multiple sections. You answer questions, and then there's some choices you can make or not make when you're making your character based off those choices. Like you pick where they're from, what happened to them to make them a prisoner. You're a prisoner in the game, and you end up escaping, and through certain means, through certain means, have to work for a certain person. Through that, there's actually like a story which is interesting. But yeah, I asked you all these questions, and I went through, and my character essentially was, I forgot what they're called, Habs? It's like planets or something like that. I don't remember. But anyway, my dude like was isolated and started hearing voices, and something else I picked made him like he's like super religious. So essentially, I made Saltspire from fucking Vermintide. My guy's got like a milky eye like Saltspire. He's like preaching all this like crazy religious stuff when he's fighting, stuff like that. So it feels very at home for me because I played Saltspire.
This affect anything while you're actually playing? Or is it just RP?
I think it's RP as of now, except for, like I said, there's 2 choices for like hair color or eye color. I don't remember. I couldn't pick them because it said this is locked for people who have only been from like, or are only from this planet.
Okay.
So there's certain things that are like hard locked. Like you can tell, like obviously they've made Warhammer games before. These are Warhammer fans, so they want it to be authentic.
Right.
Which I thought was really interesting. But there's 3 voices you can pick from. At least the class I picked had 3 voices. I don't know if it changes. I'm sure it's just 3 voices across the board for male characters. I didn't make a female character. And so you can really kind of like make your character sound a certain way based off of your backstory too. So that's kind of an interesting thing to kind of role play, I guess, your character. Like I'm not even that interested in like making a character that's supposed to fit in that world, but by the time I was done, I feel like I did, because when I was going through the options of like where I came from, and one of them was like, oh, you were part of a small colony that was like isolated or whatever. Then the next option it's like, what was your call to whatever, like what happened that got you in prison. And like I think the one I picked was like my guy started hearing voices and went crazy or whatever. So I was like, he was isolated, he started hearing shit, maybe he started hearing God or something like that, he started going nuts. And then when I picked the voices, one of them was like this more preachery dude who was just like yelling and saying crazy shit. And I was like, perfect, I'll pick that.
So I think what that's helping with though, and I think this is exactly why by the time you finish like Final Fantasy 14 as an example, you get so attached to your Warrior of Light, is that you have more attachment to this character because you've put more thought into making them, including the background. So even as you're playing the same game everyone else is playing, that was your soldier, I assume, or prisoner, sorry, that went through this adventure. So you'll have more connection to that character. I think it's a good thing. So
yeah, it didn't hurt anything. Like the character creator's pretty decent. You get to build a background, you get to pick a voice, and it kind of makes your character feel a little bit more like yours.
Yes.
Especially when you're
playing as someone, you're playing as you.
Exactly. Like I remember Saltspire's name, but like I just know he's a fucking demon hunter, witch hunter. I don't remember what they're called in that.
But that is that guy though.
Yeah, exactly. And he's kind of like a meme for me, at least. Like I'll just like quote him sometimes when I'm playing other things. Whereas like this is my character, which is pretty cool. And every time you make a class, you get to make that into a character. So at some point I'll have 4 different characters that I'll try to make completely different.
Yeah, if I ever get to a point I decide to pick that game up, that sounds appealing to me.
Yeah.
I don't care about 40K, but the character creator part is quite appealing at this
Well,
point.
and you liked Vermintide. So
I do like Vermintide.
Yeah.
And I like the gameplay loop. Don't get me wrong. I just like my interest in the 40K universe is pretty
Yeah.
minimal because I'm not really into big beefy fucking semi-tech.
Luckily you're playing as prisoners, so there is no Space Marines. Josh was like saying like, "Where's the Space Marines at? Like, you know, why can't we play as one of those?" And I'm like, "We're prisoners, dude. Like, Space Marines wouldn't be here. This is like Suicide Squad shit. Like, this is like a bunch of down and dirty fucking dudes doing these like shitty missions where they're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, if you want Space Marines, there's the Space Marine game that came out. There's Death something. I forgot what it's called. I played that. It was pretty janky but neat. And then they're making Space Marine 2, I think. So there's so much to Warhammer but 40K that, like, you know, I like that this can be its own isolated thing without seeing Space Marines.
For sure. Well, and I also, outside of my interests, I like what Fat Shark has done to the genre. So,
100%. The only one that I think is like the best, in my opinion, is oh god, people who make World War Z is just like phenomenal. It's what Left 4 Dead 3 should be. But yeah, Vermintide is like, it's hard for me to compare them because Vermintide feels different. Its combat is way different, but it's still the same principle. So they kind of are like adjacent for me. But like something that's like more evolved from Left 4 Dead, World War Z is the best. It's so much better than like Back 4 Blood. But yeah, Vermintide's really good. The gameplay's like a lot of fun, and this is, you know, following that. So I think it's cool too playing. It's funny how much I don't know about Warhammer, but I play a lot of Warhammer games because like I'm one of like the 4 people who likes Inquisitor Martyr, and which is like a Diablo style game that has a fucking cover system. It's a really weird game, but that game is interesting because you're playing as Inquisitors. I think the ship's called the Martyr, and they're completely different than these prisoners I'm playing as. They're completely different than Space Marines. And to kind of talk on like how Space Marines are so much different than what I'm playing as in Darktide, there's a part in Inquisitor Martyr on one of the earlier missions. We're going through a ship where we're trying to figure out what the fuck happened, and they find a dead Space Marine, just one, and they make a big deal about it. They're like, what the fuck killed him?
Yeah.
Like, and so that kind of like added gravity to like, oh, Space Marines are like motherfuckers. They're like badass as shit. Okay, I get it. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, anyway, I think it's funny how many people have made Warhammer games, and the quality of the games vary a lot because anyone can make a Warhammer game.
It's like Games Workshop or whatever owns that IP,
and they let anyone make a game for them, which is crazy.
They're a lot more flexible than Hasbro.
Yeah, 100%.
Dungeons and Dragons and stuff.
I heard they're losing a shitload of money.
Honestly, not surprised.
Yeah,
they've been so bad at handling their shit for years.
Yeah, we're not talking about that though. But
sorry.
No, I just hearing Hasbro, I'm like, I heard they're like losing a shitload of money right now. They own Magic the Gathering, right?
Yep, and Magic does fine, but
I hear it's not doing as well as it was. So
I'm sure.
But the fuck was I talking about? Oh, so they licensed this to everybody.
Yeah.
And you get these varying degrees of quality in games. But the thing I appreciate across the board of every Warhammer game I've played is they're so trying to be authentic to the Warhammer lore. Every single game, like, takes the lore very serious. And the atmosphere, like all these games made by different people, all feel like they're from the same universe, which is really kind of crazy. Because like I'm playing like a game that looks like shit, and it still is like like I look at the ship, and now I'm playing Darktide. I'm running around the ship. I'm like, yeah, this feels just like that other game. Like these ship designs are like very specific, and the way people talk is very specific. And like
maybe we should check out some audiobooks. Maybe
I've slowly become more and more interested in Warhammer through the games, which I think is really interesting. I just really like how, I don't know, there's like a confidence in its lore that feels so unique. I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it, but yeah, this game has that. It just also is like really well made, so it's a lot better than the other Warhammer games. But how did I get on that? Oh yeah, because you're playing as prisoners, you're playing as Inquisitors and Inquisitor Martyr and Space Marine. I think there's room for that. So progression in this works is like at level 5, level 10, level 15, level 20, level 25, you get to pick one of 3 perks you unlock, which you get to make your build from, which feels a little slow. But that's fine because that's essentially the only progression you got outside of gear that you get, which there's machine guns, all that stuff I already went over earlier. There's also chainsaw swords, which I think is cool. But then there's at level 10, 11, I don't remember. You unlock curios, which are essentially augments, things that change 11% to your health, faster regeneration into stamina, stuff like that. So, and you unlock your first one at 11, I think. The next one's at 16, I think. And after that, you can have 3 equipped. So you can actually start making a build based off of your perks and your curios. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm curious to see if you'll be able to get any different abilities or augment them, though, because like I like my ability, but I don't know if I can play to like level 25, 30 just doing that ability over and over and over again. I feel like there needs to be choices, different things, because like in Vermintide 2, you could like there's like 3 different builds per class that added a variety of like, oh, I like playing this version of this guy, and I don't know if this game has that. So yeah, last thing I'm gonna say before I talk about my criticism, and I'm already getting to it, but real quick, the soundtrack of this game is fucking awesome. It's full of bangers. It's so fitting. It's like cathedral music and like really epic like choirs and stuff like that, but it's got like this electronic sound to it that's got like these beats that are hitting really hard, and some of the songs are kind of zany, kind of weird, kind of campy. Like while you're doing missions, every once in a while there's like these things you have to do. Like there's like boss fights every once in a while, which is cool to see. But also I forgot what they're called, but it's like essentially a skull that's a scanner. You have to interact with those. They'll fly around. You have to follow it. And then when you get to a certain point, you have to pull out scanners and start looking for things in the area, and then upload that data to the skull, and it moves to the next area. So there's interactivity. It's not just like fight through the hordes. But anytime you interact with that skull, this one song plays, and it's good, but it's like so different than the rest of the songs in the game that like it just feels like you're on like this wild, crazy fucking hunt. But the soundtrack is really good. So yeah, that's awesome. I always appreciate music and sound design and stuff like that. So my complaint about this game so far, though, is it feels repetitive more than Vermintide. Now I've only played the game for like 10 hours, but I feel like I've done the same missions a lot of times. And there's not a whole lot of variability to them. There is modifiers. You'll see when you're picking the mission, it'll say like, oh, this has this happening, or this has this happening. But yeah, I'm playing a lot of the same missions over and over and over again. I am leveling. I'm getting equipment. I'm getting my perks, all that stuff. So I'm playing for that reason, and the gameplay's fucking awesome. But the missions, it's just the same ones over and over and over again. And I remember Vermintide and Vermintide 2, before like the DLCs came out, had like 6 campaigns, little mini campaigns to go through, maybe 5, like not a whole lot. So yeah, I feel like it needs more. I don't know, unless you're just like me or like a big Warhammer fan, I don't know if like the average person would stick with this game for very long, unless they just like really like the gameplay, which is pretty good. Even the shooting feels pretty decent. But like the melee combat is like awesome. It feels so satisfying to lob heads off, chop legs off, all that kind of shit. It plays just like Vermintide. It's the same thing, except for you're fighting like humanoids, dogs, big dudes, throwing grenades and shit. So yeah, that's kind of wearing on me a bit. Is just kind of noticing that I'm playing this mission again, playing this mission again, playing this mission again. So yeah, not a big deal. I'm down to grind, but when I was talking about this earlier, I kind of alluded that it's not my highest priority. God of War is. When I got a little bit of time, I play Call of Duty. Been playing Deep Rock Galactic, so it's kind of low on the ladder for me. But when I have played it, I've been enjoying it. But hopefully there will be more variety the further I get into the game, because I can already see its I can see its formula, and I don't know if it's going to change a whole lot. So, but overall, I'm liking it. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you like Vermintide and you want to play like a very dark sci-fi version of that. This game's 100% up your alley. So, yeah, and if it goes on sale or you get interest in it, I would definitely recommend it to you. Because it's Vermintide, but different. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's a similar problem I'm having with Pokemon is like a priority system, basically, and it's just not there compared to other things I want to play right now. So,
yep, that's where I'm at. I mean, I played it for a little bit because I bought it, but at this point, there's certain games that I'm like, oh, I gotta fucking play that. I gotta play that like now. I gotta grind. Or games like God of War, like I gotta play this now because more and more I'm seeing more and more shit on the internet for it, so I don't want it spoiled. But this game, I'm like, I could not play it, and I'll come back later and pick up where I left off. It's not like I gotta play it right now kind of game. So, but it's a lot of fun. Rob's been playing it a lot.
I saw.
So he didn't fucking hit me up or anything.
I'm actually surprised because he usually doesn't buy new games. So
yeah, but I'm pretty sure he liked Vermintide, so
he did.
It makes sense.
I just mean like his spending habits. It's a little unusual for him. So obviously he had some hype going into it, I'm assuming. So I haven't talked to him about it yet. So
yeah. You'll have to invite him or something at some point because I keep seeing him on there, and it's been me, Josh, and Sarah playing, so we could definitely use a fourth because this game has bot support, but I haven't found a way to play with bots. It just throws you online with people, and if there's not somebody there, it'll throw a bot until someone can join. Which I kind of don't like because sometimes I'm like, I don't want to play with people because these kind of games, people aren't paying attention. It drives me nuts because I'm like a really team-oriented person.
Even when we played Vermintide, and we had a couple randos before, they would just
yeah
they're just gone.
Yeah, people do that in this too, but also people don't pay attention to the objectives like all the fucking time. I'll be doing the objective and like people are just off fighting things. I think they think they're thinning the horde or something like that. I'm like, dude, every time I get hit, I can't continue the objective. You got to keep them off me. Like, why are you fucking 100 feet over there fighting shit? Like, get over here, make sure things aren't attacking me. Or fucking you do it, and I'll do that because I know what I'm doing. Not to rant too much, but like...
it's the same reason people don't do objectives in shooters. They're just kill focused.
It drives me fucking insane because, like, that can make or break complete a mission. If we can't get the objective done, you can get all the kills in the fucking world. Doesn't matter because if we fail, we don't get the full experience. So it's just like I get frustrated because I'm like, oh my god, and especially it's like not even like a skill thing. Sometimes people aren't that great, and that's fine. I have no issue like trying to help out with that. But when the team's doing fine, but people aren't paying attention, I'm like, dude, this is so avoidable. Like this is just negligence. I don't know. It's annoying. So anyway, rarely, but sometimes I would prefer a bot over a person. And it'd be nice to like have a private game. So if that's a thing, let me know in the comments. I'm playing on PC how to do that. I haven't explored it too much, but when you queue up for a game or mission, it just throws you in, and all of a sudden other people are popping in there, and you ready up or you don't ready up. So yeah, Darktide's fun though, and that's all I've been playing. So, you got anything else to add? All right, let us know in the comments what games have you guys been playing? What games are you looking forward to playing? What games would you recommend us play? Have you played Pokemon? Let me know what you think of that. Let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below. All right, we got a lot of videos to watch. These are all like 5 minutes a piece too, so let's start getting through them. Those videos are Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion Official Features Trailer, Battlefield 2042 Official Development Update Trailer. I'm going to be really interested to watch this because I hear some people are saying Season 3 of Battlefield 2042 is going to bring it back. We'll find out. Then we got a Wild Hearts official gameplay trailer that describes what we're going to be doing in the game, I think.
Best type of trailer.
And then they're all this, which I'm actually pretty stoked about. That's why I pulled them all. And I have other videos too. I need to do a fucking TLG react. So there's so many videos I need to react to. And then lastly, we got ArcheAge 2 reveal trailer and interview breakdown. This will be interesting because I think we are at the very beginning of MMOs coming back.
They sure as fuck have been trying.
So we will discuss ArcheAge 2, but also maybe discuss the state of MMOs. But before we do that, let's watch Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion official features trailer. To kind of put it short, I'm going to speak for you. Neither of us played this, Crisis Core.
Didn't have PSP.
Because we didn't have a PSP. This is a game we both wanted to play. They are bringing it back. They are building it from the ground up. This isn't just a remaster, it's a remake. Yeah, I think we're both interested in playing it. This is going to go over features they're adding to the game. Yeah, do you have anything you want to say on this before we watch the video?
Not too much. I just I know that the biggest thing for me with this game was basically I missed out on some prequel storytelling. I have kind of heard that the gameplay aspect is okay. It has some systems I've heard that aren't so great in it, but we'll see how that is with this version of it, obviously, because it is a different one, or if they just stay true to that old game. Either way, I'd like to pick it up because I have a investment, obviously, in the 7 storyline. So as much as I have mixed feelings right now on remake, but we'll see what the next game does for that. So
yeah, same though. I didn't play this when it came out. I wanted to play it. And it never looked like it was going to be like a great game when it originally came out, but like I wanted the story, I wanted the characters as Gokt in it, which I'm a fan of him. And so I thought it was really interesting that they put him in the game. What's his name? Angeal? Genesis?
I don't know.
Something
I didn't follow
like
this
that.
game at all.
What was his fucking name? Where am I getting those names from? He's one of those things. He's one of those 2 names. Always wanted to know that story a little bit. And yeah, never had to play it. So I'm stoked to play it. I know they're changing it up and modernizing it, though, gameplay-wise. So I think it'll be a great way to finally get to experience the story. So yeah, I'm excited to play it. So anything else? All right, let's watch this. This is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion official features trailer in 3, 2, 1, and go.
It's quite an upgrade.
Yeah, that was quite the transition.
That was actually a really good way to do a transition.
Yeah. Oh shit! Look at that. It's funny because it doesn't look as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it still looks good. It's a big increase. Yeah.
Better visually than the original.
It's fucking crazy.
7 had a ridiculous amount of summons. So.
All right, quick and to the point.
Very brief, yeah.
Yeah. All right, what do we think?
Very flashy. I didn't get a whole lot of that gameplay wise, though. The visuals of it is really good. It does look more consistent with the way Final Fantasy VII is now. I am glad to see all the crazy summons because it's as much as I love newer Final Fantasies. Something older Final Fantasies were really, I think, better at was just like an abundance of these things. They kind of minimalize that a lot now. And understandably, it's, I'm sure, development hell with newer games to make the amount of shit that used to be in these old games. But yeah, no, it looks cool. I was gonna pick it up anyways, which may end up being a gamble. We'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with everything said. It's looking way better than the original one. I like that the trailer, actually, a teaser, I'll call it, showed the older, the original game and the new version, because you really see there's a huge difference between the graphics. Gameplay's looking smooth, though. It's looking good. The cinematics look really good, which makes me excited to experience the story in, a more HD, more modern way. I do like that, they've remade 7, so it has it kind of followed more the Advent Children visual style of Final Fantasy 7 with the remake, and so they're kind of doing the same here with this. It's kind of adding a lot of connective tissue between all the properties. The newer, I mean, Advent Children's not new, but you know what I'm saying, like they they took that style and made it into a game that this looks more akin to the remake now.
It definitely feels like they're trying to make all the properties actually feel like they're connected.
Yeah, feels more cohesive, and so this is following that, which I think is really cool. It's also really neat that they're able to remake 7, did well for the most part, and now they're adding even more to that story with bringing this back. And yeah, that'll be cool. The summons are looking really cool too. I'm glad they redid the animations. I mean, obviously they would have to redo them, but if they're exactly the same as before, I wouldn't have even noticed. I mean, I didn't play the original, but that they're reimagining the whole thing, I think is really interesting as well. And yeah, it was a really short trailer, but I think it packed in a lot in that 1 minute, which is kind of wild. So I'm happy with it, and yeah, I honestly can't wait to play this. Although I still haven't finished Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, you need to just do that.
It became something that I was like, I'll get back to it. Now it's been so long that I'm just like, I need to just fucking sit down and play it at this point, because like it's not a priority thing anymore. It's just not on my list now, and I need to put it back on. And playing a game like God of War Ragnarok, I couldn't even think to play another game like that right now. So another like story heavy long investment game. So I'll have to beat 7 before I play this, but I do want to play this. I think it looks really cool, and I'm excited to play it. So anything else?
Nope.
All right, that was quick. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. That rolls right off the tongue. What did you think of the trailer? What are you most excited about? Did you play the original? Are you excited to play this? Maybe you played the original and you're not excited to play this. Maybe you don't like the way it looks. Maybe you don't like what they're doing with the combat or something like that. Yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. All right, next video we got is Battlefield 2042 official development update trailer. This is going to go over what they're doing with Season 3, I guess, and the changes they're making. I've been vocal about it, but I don't talk about it anymore because I don't play it. And a lot of people have been vocal with Battlefield 2042. And essentially a lot of the changes that they made with Battlefield, and a lot of those changes not being well received. They implemented this operator system where you play as different operators, and every operator has a specific ability, but then you can kind of like have your kit load out with all the things you'd expect from like classes in Battlefield, like medic stuff or support stuff. And you can kind of make your operator into any of those things. A lot of people didn't like that, me included. And apparently they're getting rid of that system completely and going back to the original Battlefield system where you play as like, a medic or an assault or whatever, which, seems like quite the change, but this is a Battlefield. And it should be like Battlefield. So that's one of the things they're changing. I think this video will go over. But yeah, they made so many mistakes with 2042 that I think they're just trying to salvage anything that they can from this, because I don't think it did well compared to prior Battlefields. And for me, personally, the last 2 Battlefields have not been that great.
I would say I think with the last 2, they're probably in damage control mode.
Yeah. Yeah, for the brand, but also this game. This game should be being supported right now, and it is, but supported for people who are wanting to play it, and I think the general population of the game is pretty low. It's even coming out, I heard, to Game Pass, which that's not really an indicator of anything, but it does show that they want people playing the game.
Right.
So much so that they are not selling it as a premium game. They are, but like they're also allowing anyone to play it on Game Pass for less. So that tells me they need players. Which, overall, I want Battlefield to be good. I want to play Battlefield. I like Battlefield. I think the last good Battlefield was Battlefield 1. It felt inspired. It felt like there was a reason it existed. Whereas like 5 felt soulless, empty. It was functional. It worked just fine. The graphics were gorgeous, of course. But then Battlefield 2042 was even more soulless and more vacant and felt unfinished. So anyway, we'll watch this. We'll get the info and then we'll discuss it. And just so anybody who might not know knows, do you have interest in Battlefield? Do you like Battlefield? Would you ever play 2042?
I used to like Battlefield. I've kind of fallen out of it. I don't have a drive to play competitive games anyways.
Yeah.
So I would have to be in the right mindset. But, if it turns out to be a good game, I would probably pay attention to it and possibly play it. But I don't have like any desire though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I kind of already went over it, but I loved Battlefield. I would like to play the newest Battlefield. So if they can, I'm not lost. If they can make this good, I would come back and play it. So I'm hoping for the best.
Sure.
So, all right, let's just watch this, then we can talk about it. This is the official development update trailer. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's have it then.
Hi, I'm Alexia Christofi from the Battlefield 2042 development team.
What's up, dude?
We hope you've enjoyed Season 2, Master of Arms. As it draws to a close, that marks 1 year of Battlefield 2042.
That's crazy.
In that time,
It's been out a
we've
year.
heard you. Your feedback has been instrumental in how we've been able to evolve and improve the game. So thank you. We're really proud of the work so far. And so any players that haven't jumped in yet, you're going to be able to do so.
This is what they should have did with fucking Battlefield 5, is we hear you, thank you for your feedback.
Yeah.
Holy shit, they learned. Like fucking people are like, hey, we don't like this in 5. They're like, hey, dude, you're just, you hate women and you're bigots. Fuck you. And now they're like, oh, we hear you. We're working on it. I just want to say that real quick. I appreciate that they've changed their
In December,
tone.
there will be free access periods to Battlefield 2042 across all platforms. Whilst with the launch of Season 3, Battlefield 2042 will be available for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and EA Play subscribers. Today, we'll be giving you a further glimpse at what's to come in Seasons 3 and 4. But that's not where the Battlefield 2042 journey is going to end.
It's HD.
We're already in pre-production on new content that will come after Season 4 next year.
After Season 4, okay.
But now, on to Season 3. We'll be revealing it fully later this month, but in today's development update, we'll talk to you more about our areas of focus and what to expect from them. Starting with core gameplay and the return of the classic and familiar Battlefield class system that will arrive later in Season 3 as part of our 3.2 update. Since we confirmed this, we've seen thousands of comments from you all. We've collated and reviewed them as a team to help validate our plan, and we've held extensive internal playtests along with bringing in members of our community to discuss, test, and play with these rework changes in place. So in our initial release, you'll see the move back to the class structure with needed balancing work, as well as the first set of design changes. Each class will receive class equipment and class gadget of choice. Weapon proficiencies will become available and provide gameplay benefits for each class. For example, Recons will be better at holding their breath whilst aiming down sights with sniper rifles.
One of us is down.
Irish moves to support, while Crawford moves to engineer. Irish will take Crawford's current trait, and so Crawford will receive a new trait geared towards engineer gameplay.
Okay.
We want Rao to fit better within the Recon class, so to achieve this,
Reporting for duty.
we're improving communication between Rao and squad mates to highlight when targets are vulnerable. This work will continue through Season 4, with more design changes to other specialists, balancing changes, as well as new content arriving to fill class
I could
gadget
start from ground
choices.
1 again, except for they got a game build.
Continuing in Season 3 will be the addition of more vault weapons, a wide collection of portal weaponry unlocked through assignments. At the start of Season 3, you'll be able to fight with the XM8 from Bad Company 2, a German assault rifle hugely effective at both medium and long range. There will also be the A91 from Battlefield 3, with its high rate of fire and a little bit of unpredictability. More vault weapons will then continue to be added throughout Seasons 3 and 4. In Seasons 3 and 4, we'll continue to bring evolved versions of our existing maps from launch. You're already playing these reworked versions of Kaleidoscope, Renewal, and Orbital, and in Season 3, you'll get to play on new versions of Manifest and Breakaway. Let's take a look at how they're shaping up.
Manifest will be the first map update you'll receive during Season 3. It brings the flags closer together, helping to address the feedback that we've had from players and improve the flow across the map.
So they're just
Bringing the
redoing
HQ flags closer to the
flow of the
action,
maps now,
getting
too.
you in the
That's-
mix and on the objective much sooner.
It's like they released the game too early.
Cover has been
Or just had some
updated
really
across
bad
the map,
ideas that they're still
continuing
releasing.
our efforts to bring an
Wow.
updated war-torn
They keep
feeling and
emphasizing
giving you the ability to move
feedback
securely around the
thing.
point.
which is good to
Up
hear.
on the hill, we've reworked the number of structures, destroying the
make a game
radar
that people
station
wanna
and
play.
giving you a central
100%.
point of focus when attacking or defending this objective.
Realistically,
Meanwhile,
so
down at the
far,
docks,
it actually
we've
sounds
reduced the number of
interesting.
cranes to help create more focus and to increase the value of holding the high
I'm
ground.
still not a big fan of like
With improvements made across the level to our lighting and
a
visibility,
game like this having
new paths
a
to traverse
character with
between
a name that
flags
you
and a
associate
brand
with.
new rush layout.
I just
Look
wanna
forward
play
to Manifest's update when
Joe
it drops
Everman,
in
basically.
update 3.1. Then,
not a
later in
game breaker
Season
by any
3,
means.
we
Yeah.
return with our biggest overhaul yet. Breakaway has been reworked to
It
see
feels
one of
like
our
the
favourite
fucking
play
release of this
spaces
game a year ago was
relocated
a
to a new
beta
location.
test for a year.
Oil
like,
Rig now sits much closer to the action.
I'm
at
glad
the foot
that
of our
they're
enormous
making the game
glacier,
better, hopefully, but
with new ways to assault the rig and
The
new
amount of
paths on
changes they're
board the deck.
making.
We've ensured
It's just
that
like the
one of our
feedback you
best
could have gotten in the
features
beginning.
sees a lot more action.
well, aren't these old maps?
Down
that
in the
they're
town,
bringing forward?
we've arranged the
these
flags
maps
to
already
create better
existed
objectives
in the game.
bringing
They just
new
have-
cover,
they're reduxes.
destroyed
They're redoing
vehicles,
them.
and cleaner navigation
okay.
to keep the
Makes
action
sense.
flowing. And over on the glacier, we've simplified the area to help keep things
visually
moving,
look better.
They said
introducing
they were
all
moving
new
the
paths
flags
through
and
the
stuff
space
because
and
people
2
probably
new
hated the
flags,
flow of
including this downed condor
This looks
inside
like
an
a
ice
huge
cave.
difference, though.
Yeah.
With new ice and snow shaders, this is a huge overhaul for Breakaway,
Way better
and you'll
looking.
deploy here later
Yeah.
in Season 3.
The reveal of Season 3 is just around the corner with a new specialist, new battle pass, and more in Portal, as well as new hardware tech, events,
I don't even
experiences,
honestly care about
and
the
more.
new content. I just want to know how they're
There
fixing the
will also
fucking
be a
game.
new, smaller, tighter,
'Cause the content was the
infantry-focused
issue
map
for
in a
the most
location
part.
new
It
for the
was
Battlefield franchise,
what they
and one
did to
close to our
Battlefield.
hearts here at DICE. Vi ses på slagfältet. And that's it from me today. In addition to everything we've spoken about, we will continue our commitment to ongoing quality of life and performance improvements in all our updates.
Should you be able to do
On
that?
behalf of all the teams
I mean, that
continuing
looks
to
like
work
some
on Battlefield
Battlefield
2042,
shit,
we can't
but
wait
yeah.
for you to get your hands
Standing
on
in the
Season
propeller?
3, then Season 4, and
I'm
beyond.
not saying you should be able
And
to.
for those of
Why
you
would
who
they
haven't
show
jumped in
that?
yet, you can play
Do
free
crazy
this
shit in the
December.
fucking
See you on the battlefield.
sky. for
They do crazy shit with physics and stuff, but then he was just standing on the back of a helicopter while the propeller was flying into him. It was kind of wild.
Yeah.
That video actually went pretty quickly for me
Yeah.
because the information was interesting enough.
And constant.
What'd you get from it?
What I got from it is they're trying to make a game that people want to play, which is great to hear. I'm sure
you
that is
want.
always the intent, right? But it actually sounds like they don't want to give up on the game,
Yeah.
which is good because especially with 5, it kind of felt like they were like they released it and they're like, all right, we're done with it. So with this one, and maybe it's just a philosophy change at EA in general, but it seems like they're trying to make a more long-term game, which is good. I think people are getting burnt out on annual releases, and I think it's starting to show in game development as well. So
Yeah.
especially when you have something like, a good example would be Apex. How long has that game lasted now? And it's still
wow.
doing fine.
Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. So you could do that with a Battlefield, or even Call of Duty's doing expansions now. So
Battlefield 4 is still played
Yeah.
a shitload. Like, they have successful Battlefields. And so, like, they have to look at, even if you're like, no, these ideas are great. Like, these new ideas are great. Everyone's going to love them, blah, 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 blah. And you look at the performance. You're like, why is no one playing it? And you look at the comments, people are bitching, you're like, well, they're probably wrong. And then you look back and you see Battlefield 4 still being played. Battlefield 3 still being played. Battlefield 1 still being played a shitload.
yeah.
Like, even that alone, let alone the other FPSs that have been out for a while and existing. Like, yeah, you got to look at it and go, fuck, dude, we got to do something.
Yeah, and I know a lot of it, too, was them trying to compete with other genres of shooters, but Battlefield isn't other genres of shooters. It's Battlefield.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it should own what it does.
yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued, to be honest. I'd probably be curious to check it out if I see it pop up on a decent price. Maybe I'll pick it up anyways. So
Yeah, I think they're going to, didn't they say they're going to do some, like, free weekend type shit to get people to play it? I think they said something about that, or maybe I read that.
I'm not sure.
But and it's gonna be on Game Pass, so that's a good way to get people to play a game with no investment or little investment. But that's interesting that you're even slightly interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a game that I should be playing. So it was interesting to hear what they're doing to try and get essentially people like me to come and play because I'm in their demographic. I should be playing this game. And overall, it does feel like, oh, it's a little late for you to be doing all this. But at the same time, I always preach that I just want good games. I don't care. I don't like the habit of releasing games in states that are not desirable. But at the end of the day, you want a game that wasn't received well to do a No Man's Sky and become the game that is undeniable. And I don't know if they'll do it, but I want a good Battlefield. And they are making some big changes that I thought they would be stubborn enough to not make. I don't like the operators that they had. I don't like that system. It completely sucked away the essence of classes, that feeling of team synergy that Battlefield's always had. Big battles where you're relying on medics and engineers and assault and stuff all doing their thing. When anybody can be that. Any operator can just do whatever the hell. It felt like Call of Duty. It felt chaotic. And so that they are completely pulling an older Ubisoft and going, oh, you don't like that? Oh, we'll fix it. That's great. I also kind of went off on a thing. I didn't mean to just pause and start talking, but the tone of how they're talking to their community is promising. I'm glad that they are saying, hey, dude, we're listening to you guys. We're going to try and work with you. Like, that's all you need to do. So that's also good. The change to the map's interesting. It doesn't mean a lot to me because I didn't invest time in this game. So I didn't get to play those maps over and over again and have my own criticisms of them. But if there was enough criticism of these maps for them to completely redo them, first off, that's pretty crazy. But secondly, that's crazy that they even would do that. I've seen a couple games change some things on the map a little bit, like, oh, this hallway doesn't work very well, so they add like a barrier somewhere because people are getting shot too much in there. But they're like completely redoing huge chunks of these maps, and they're changing the graphics too, which is wild. That shows a dedication that they're not just trying to flip an asset to make some money off of it, but they're like trying to get you to come back and fucking play this game. And so I might come back, especially if they do like a free weekend type thing or like a trial to let me try the game again. Or maybe I have Game Pass, I'm not using it, but I have it. I am interested in checking out and seeing if it's the Battlefield or at least something similar to the Battlefield that I originally wanted from this, because there's not a whole lot of games that do what Battlefield does like Battlefield. So, and this game didn't do it either. So I'm looking for that modern Battlefield experience, and I'm hoping they can do it because it's missing. It's missing from the ecosystem of games. Like Call of Duty's doing great for me right now. I'm really enjoying Call of Duty, but Call of Duty's not Battlefield. It's not. They're not even the same.
Games,
There is a Battlefield mode. I forgot what it's called. Why the fuck can't I remember it? In Call of Duty, but it's not Battlefield. It doesn't feel like Battlefield. Battlefield has a distinct feeling, and so I hope they can nail it. And I'm glad they're sticking with it because it has worked for smaller companies and devs. So if you... Oh, see? Play free right there. In December.
December 1st to 5th.
Yeah, so I'll have to check it out. It's been done by people with less means. So less money, less people. So they can do it. If other people can do it, they can remake this game into something that people want to play. And I'm glad they're doing it. There's been a couple games, Anthem, EA, also like same company, that they just abandoned because they're like, this ain't working out, get rid of it. And they're like, oh, we want to do 2.0. No, fuck it, get rid of that. They could have very well did that with this as well. They're not. So
They did it with 5, so.
Yeah, 5, they were like, okay, we went a little cartoonish, we're trying to be Fortnite. And then people just didn't play, like, okay, fuck it, dude, let's just start working on the next Battlefield. And they probably don't want to do that again. So I commend them on that, because even though I wasn't an Anthem dude, if they would have made Anthem good, why the hell wouldn't I play it? Like, I was looking forward to 2.0. I'm like, yeah, dude, like, you already built the game, make it into something. And then EA's like, fuck that. I'm like, you guys did that dirty. So they didn't do it here. I got to give them credit. And I will try the free trial for this game to see where it's at. Because, yeah, it's cool. So overall, definitely interesting, and I hope they can pull it off. Anything else you want to say? All right, listen in the comments what you guys think of the official development update trailer. Are you playing Battlefield 2042 right now. Have you played it in the past? Did you never play it? Tell me why on all those things. And what do you think of the current state of it? What do you think about the changes they're making? What changes would you like to see them make that they're not making? And or maybe things you're hoping for? And what could get you to be playing Battlefield regularly? Let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below. All right, next video we got is Wild Hearts, which is, as a lot of you guys know, the Monster Hunter-like game that is being made. This is the official gameplay trailer, which I think is going to give us some information on the game. We've covered this twice now, I think, and I think we're both in the camp of, it looks cool, we'll see. We don't like the box, and we both like Monster Hunter a lot, so I think we're both hoping that this game will be cool. But I don't think either of us is like super hyped on it.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't mean that in like a negative sense. It takes a lot for me to be hyped in general. So
yeah. But like if a new Monster Hunter got announced, I would be fucking ecstatic. So this has to earn my interest. But
comparing a proven to an unproven IP.
Exactly. So and I'm hoping for it to be awesome. But yeah, it's really interesting too. Since they announced this, they've been rolling out trailers and info and a lot of shit. Like they're ready to get this game out, so it's kind of wild. So that's where we stand. We're gonna watch this and we will talk about it. Anything you want to add? Mm-mm. All right, let's watch this Wild Hearts official gameplay trailer. 3, 2, 1, go. Gameplay not final. We got an animation.
Evidence of our ancient ancestors' extraordinary technology. The karakuri can be found across this land. Though they still worked when I was a child, it has been a long time since anyone could figure them out. That is, until you. Harness nature's energy. Wield this ancient tech. Unleash the power of the karakuri and shape them into new forms.
Bop. That fucked him up.
I imagine in time how you use these karakuri will change the very way you think about the hunt. Like the karakuri itself, you must be adaptable. And like the kimono, you must be ferocious.
I think the character models
Plan your
and everything
hunt.
look really good. I think the monsters are kind of generic looking.
Set your trap and bring down these giant beasts.
They're not bad. Maybe I'm just biased.
The karakuri can be used for more than battle. They are your tools to travel
Damn.
with great speed.
That would not be a smooth ride.
Gather resources. Build your skills. They can even guide you.
I'm glad they're doing
as
something
they
different,
once
right?
guided
Like
our
that's
ancestors.
Yeah, they're trying something.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
But karakuri alone may not be enough to bring down every beast.
What did they do?
Seek allies
cuts,
and
so-
together tame a world gone wild.
Oh, we got a gun. Yeah. Not the best trailer.
I'll say that trailer was tonally a mess.
Yeah, it was kind of all over the place and could have been done better. But yeah, what'd you think?
So I am glad to see more variations of the tool that you're going to use, or the katakuri. That is constantly, being said over and over again in the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer should just be like katakuri.
So, but in original ones, we only got to see like 3 or 4 variants or something like that. So it was nice to see a bunch more variants, which does make it a little more interesting. I'm still not 100% sold on the idea, but I haven't played it, so like, you know, maybe I'll love it. Who knows? That being said, I do think the gameplay loop I'm a fan of anyways. I like Monster Hunter and Monster Hunter like games. Even if I'm like, a good example would be like Dauntless. I'm not in love with Dauntless. It was fun enough.
It's fun enough, yeah.
Same idea. This could be the same thing. Has this trailer made me want to be a day one buyer? I'm not 100% convinced on that. But it did show more, and I do think I have a stronger interest now. I need a proper gameplay trailer though. This was really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was rough. You talking about the day one thing is interesting because I thought about that. I was like, I'm bad about that. Like if I'm even remotely interested in a game, I'll buy it day one. But it's in a weird position because like if you're invested in Monster Hunter and you love Monster Hunter, you might play this out of curiosity. Like, oh, maybe you've done everything. You're like, oh, I want more Monster Hunter style games. But at the same time, I could see the opposite of going like, well, it's not really adding that much. Like I could just keep playing the game I already got like, hundred thousands of hours into.
Right.
So there might be a lot of people who are like, I don't know. I'll see how it's, what people say, and if people don't say, they'll forget about it. But I'll probably pick it up day one. But yeah, I could probably wait a little bit on this and see, and maybe wait for a sale because like I'm not super excited for this game, but I do want to play it for sure. So that just kind of made me think of that. Overall, yeah, I think dare I say the trailer was a mess. Not done. It was all over the place. Let's see if I get a comment about that. But what I saw in it was cool. We see this porcupine monster that is interesting enough. I mean, it's essentially a porcupine with some crystals out its back. We see a gun, which is interesting. We didn't see that before. It looks like it just kind of shoots orbs, but might be cool. We saw the hub, so we do know we're getting a hub.
I would certainly hope so.
Similar to Monster. Well, it could just be like an open world where like there's like a camp or something. I don't know, but it does seem to be following the exact formula in that regard. And we saw a lot of the katakuri that they talk about a lot, and it does seem to do a lot of cool utility stuff. Not really seeing anything that I'm like super excited about when it comes to that, but we saw some kind of like fan thing that was happening with it that was blowing air up. See a launcher, which we saw before, which I think could be useful in fights, but like a one-time use launcher doesn't seem like something I don't know, a situation where I'm going to be like, oh, make sure to get that thing ready for this. But in the moment, it might be cool to use. I don't know. And yeah, we saw a lot of little details here that I think look interesting, but still overall, I don't think I have like big hype for this game, but I do want to play it. And yeah, they should definitely make a better trailer though, because this was kind of not great. But it's fine. I don't hate it, but overall, it was okay. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think of this trailer. What you think of the stuff they showed off in the gameplay? What are you hoping for when it comes to Wild Hearts? Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for it? Let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to this. And do you like Monster Hunter? I need to know that part because every once in a while someone will talk about this game and you can tell they're a Monster Hunter fan. They're just like expecting things to be like Monster Hunter, which is not too crazy considering it's a Monster Hunter-like game.
Is very obviously going for that slice of pie.
Yeah. All right, so last video we got is ArcheAge 2 reveal trailer and interview breakdown. ArcheAge, the original one, was a free-to-play Korean MMO that we played back in the day. We weren't like huge fans of it, but we had played it. And we are finally getting an ArcheAge 2, which is interesting, but more so I thought it'd be interesting to watch this, see the state of the game and where it's going, because it's been so long. I mean, I played ArcheAge a long time ago. But also, kind of joining the greater conversation we've been talking about for a while now, it seems that there is interest in trying to bring MMOs back.
It's definitely a push, yeah.
And when I say that, I don't mean MMOs are... I mean, I think the genre is dead, but I don't mean
stagnant.
Specific games are dead because there's obviously legacy games that are just kind of hanging out and they got their fan bases and they're still there and some are dwindling and some are thriving. But it's a market that is well past where I would argue battle royales are right now, where there's just no room in the market unless you have a great idea. We're past that with MMOs. That happened. You couldn't really break in. Now nobody wants to really break into MMOs because it's huge. It costs a lot of money, takes a lot of devs. Expensive. It's hard because you have to make these big worlds. You got to keep people in. It's a difficult thing. But there's a time where there's like a new MMO coming out like every week. Everybody was trying to get in on it. It was like battle royales. And so living in like a post MMO world, it's been interesting to see a couple people trying to do it, which I think if you can, it'd be a great time because the only competition you have is older games that are doing great. But like if you could bring something to the table, now's the time to do it. You don't really have competition in terms of new games. You have New World, Ashes of Creations coming out. There's another one I saw recently that I think is already out, or you can at least play early access of it. That's trying to be like a traditional MMO. Everybody's like trying to go back to old school MMOs, which I think is interesting. But I also think people need to be innovating. And then of course we heard the I think it was just leaked that NCSoft ArenaNet is working on a Horizon MMO for Sony, which I'm very curious about because that's some big name, big money, big talent.
The Bandai Namco one just had a dev stream recently too.
Yeah. So there's already attempts at MMOs. There are whispers of MMOs coming. And with that, ArcheAge 2 is also on its way. So with that kind of all out there, just kind of wanted to throw that in the air, get you guys thinking about MMOs and the state of MMOs. Do you have any thoughts on this before we jump into ArcheAge 2, but also MMOs?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that I am an MMO player.
Yeah.
Being that I
Final
still
Fantasy.
play Final Fantasy 14. And I've played virtually every MMO on the market to some extent, some more than others. An example, ArcheAge 1, I played a little bit, so I have no deep knowledge of the game. I like the idea of MMOs. I like living in a world and like, you know, basically living this life of, you know, this character. That being said, it's real easy to screw up the formula too, because if you make people, like any game, make people feel like they're wasting their time, they don't want to log in. So
I think it's one of the biggest problems I have with almost every MMO. Not almost every, but many of them, is they feel like they're just keeping you busy. They just want you to stay in their world, but they're not doing enough to invest you in their world. And of course, there's cases to be made for Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, but I think some of those games even lack like social features. I think that is what people really need. Like New World doesn't really have like social features. You're just existing in the world with other people, questing, and it's fun. There's PvP, all that kind of stuff. But you need to feel like this is like home. This is like your second like life almost. Like if you're going to be playing not full time, but like you're playing an MMO like a shitload and you're going to be sticking with it, you need stuff to do in that downtime. We're not just doing like raids, dungeons, quests.
yeah, I know, and I don't participate in it myself, but I know a lot of people RP in Final Fantasy 14. It's a very big part of the game.
Put that in Grand Theft Auto Online.
True. So
wild.
These social experiences you're talking about, they are happening, at least in Final Fantasy 14. I think some does happen in PSO 2. I'm kind of out of the loop on that game.
Well, that's just the kind of thing too, is if you give the tools to be able to do that. I mean, a game like Grand Theft Auto, people are making servers where they're like walking around as like, I'm the cop here, I'm the whatever. Like, you know, people do that because the game has offered you a huge map with a bunch of stuff happening, a bunch of tools to realize these situations. And MMOs should also be like that, not like Grand Theft Auto, but offer you worlds where you feel like you can exist in them and not just go like, okay, today we got to do the dungeon.
Yep.
Okay, I got to get to level 50. Like, so yeah, I think that's something that if you're going to bring an MMO out now, I think that's something you really need to think about, and not just offer content to keep you busy.
Well, and I think this is what we're seeing a lot with specifically World of Warcraft, where they focused for years now on the hardcore players only. That the bigger money maker, the casual audience, has been alienated. And so,
Which has got to be a tough balance
100%
to do. Like, it's not an easy thing.
So I think it's important to do both, because there are people like myself. I don't do a lot of the RP and stuff like that in Final Fantasy 14, but I do log in weekly to raid because I do enjoy that aspect. And every time the story gets released, I log in for the story, which for me is the most important part of the game. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, with modern MMOs though, I would say for infidelity's sake, I'm excited, for a new MMO. But I do think there are things that need to stay traditional, and I do think there are things that need to evolve. Because you don't want to just keep making the old games over and over again. But there are systems that are tried and true for a reason. There's been, for example, a lot of people have tried to break out of the Trinity thing. And every time that happens, someone ends up trying to figure out how to be a tank anyways, and tries to be a support or healer anyways.
Yeah, it's not the mindset that you can break out of the Trinity. I still think you could do it, but every attempt that people have made has not worked. Not because the game doesn't allow it, but people don't want to.
Yeah,
like you said, they will make tanks.
Yeah.
Guild Wars 2 got away from the Trinity, and I remember when I was playing that like hardcore when it first came out, I'd be doing like endgame dungeons. And people were speccing to make their people tanks, healers, all sorts of shit, and getting through dungeons easier because of that Trinity. So the Trinity just fucking works. The people want to be doing it. That I feel like if you want to get away from the Trinity and make an open world game, you should maybe just make like a survival game. Those have popped off and done really well, offering similar experiences to MMOs with less people in a server, or make just a big cooperative experience that's not an MMO. It seems like MMOs, through the amalgamation of all the experimentation on the genre, have become pretty defined in some core philosophies that people who want to play MMOs are gonna want to do, and the Trinity seems to be one of those.
Yeah, well, and you don't have to like follow that to such a T that you're like, this is the tank character.
Yeah.
But I do think the tools need to be available for a person to be a tank and be a healer and stuff like that. And obviously games are doing this. I'm just vomiting out information. But, so you could have a class that maybe there is a spec or version of it that does support stuff, and a spec or version of that's damage, and then another version that's tanky. And then people can have those choices. I think an example of this, even though I wasn't a huge fan of the game, but like Rift had crazy skill trees that pretty much just kind of let you make stuff, and stuff like that's good. Getting too complicated, the casuals go away, so you have to find balance there. Again, I'm not a dev, I don't know how to do it, but
yeah, I know people who, it's not an MMO, but like similarly in that regard, I know people who flat out wouldn't play Path of Exile.
Yeah, it's a bit much
because the skill tree was just like so fucking crazy that they're like, they weren't interpreting it, and if they stuck around longer, they would have been able to. But on access to the game, they weren't interpreting it enough to be able to know if they liked the game or not. Yeah. So they just went like, I don't want to fucking invest the time to learn this, and they just left.
Yeah, and this is just an opinion of a consumer, obviously, but yeah, I love the genre. I'd love to see new ideas come to it. I've tried the new ones that have come out. I have positives and negatives to both. Specifically, I'm going to say New World and Lost Ark. New World just doesn't have content. I mean, that's really what that game's missing. I can forgive the cut, copy, paste towns. I can forgive the grindiness to an extent, but you need more variety.
It is worth mentioning that New World has its expansion. I haven't played since then.
True, and I know they're actively working on the game to improve upon it, and I'm happy to hear that.
I felt like when I played New World, and I liked New World, but it definitely had some weaknesses. But it felt like a game of ideas and features. but it didn't feel like I was like in a world.
Yeah, I just don't think it was ready to come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just like concepts that weren't finally tuned to an experience that was going to keep me long term.
Yeah.
Plus, it blew up video cards.
Yeah, though part of that is the video card's fault as well. But I play every other game no problem. So that's really interesting that one game.
It's not a good problem to have as a dev.
And then with Lost Ark, the game's fun, but the end game systems are a little too RNG for me, and I don't like that.
The end game killed it for me. I was fucking loving that game.
Yeah.
I cruised through it. I was having a blast. I set up a guild. I was like, this might be a long-term MMO for me. And then I started playing the end game, and I gave it a good like 2 weeks participating with it. But like the flow just fucking wasn't fun.
It's just not for me at all.
Yeah. The gameplay was fucking great.
Yeah, it plays
and
great.
The quality and everything was awesome. But like the structure of the end game was just like, it felt like a fucking wall. That it's like, all right, figure out how to get over this wall.
It's a lot of like work, right? And I don't mean that in like time-consuming matter, but it feels like work. We talked about this a little bit earlier too, with work versus enjoyment, and I didn't enjoy collecting all these resources to gamble for stat changes. Like, I don't like that. So
yeah, I mean, I will put fucking hours and hours and hours into your game if I'm like having fun, but as soon as you take the fun away from me and you promise me like, well, your character's gonna get stronger, I'm like, yeah, but who gives a fuck, man? This isn't even, I'm not even having fun.
Yeah, and this is not me saying it's a bad game. This is me saying it's not for me. That end game is not for me.
Yeah,
so.
we're being critical of the two games, or at least I have been. But I like both of them.
No, agree.
They just have things that, as a modern day MMO, couldn't keep me.
Yeah, no staying power. For me. Yeah, that's why I still play 14. Because that game, even though I can take breaks from it, and it's designed to let you do that, which I appreciate. Every time I do decide to grind, I don't feel like I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
And it's a hard balance for sure. Again, I'm not a dev. I just know when I play that game, I'm not pulling my hair out of frustration, as an example, or like being bored.
Yeah.
And if I am, I can shut it off, and there's no FOMO. So,
a
lot of things there they're doing right, and I hope obviously. People going forward. I have a lot of hope for Ashes of Creation. They are really constantly talking to the people who are in the beta test and stuff like that. So there's a lot of community feedback there. Super important. I wish them a lot of luck. I would love to play that game. It has an old school fantasy feeling, which does not exist right now. You could argue World of Warcraft, but I hate the graphics of that game.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the way WoW looks.
And then. Yeah, in the anime genre, the Bandai Namco one looks okay, but the classes seem kind of basic, so I don't know about staying power.
I haven't kept up on it.
I recently watched it. The combat is...
It's a legit MMO?
I'm not 100% sure on that. They might just be throwing the word
because I always, when I first heard about it, Bandai Namco, I'm like, you're making an MMO?
Yeah, it might end up being...
Or a cooperative game.
How Destiny is,
Yeah.
Where they call it an MMO, but it's not actually an MMO.
Because Destiny's not an MMO.
No. The philosophies are there, but
it's inspired by MMOs for sure. Yeah, but it's just a cooperative shooter. I mean, like it's a looter shooter.
Yeah, which is fun. I like that stuff.
Oh God, it's just a live service game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then I didn't know ArcheAge 2 was coming out. I probably could have assumed because
I heard about it a while back, but there was nothing on it.
Yeah.
I just heard that they were working on it.
I know when the first one was coming out, the big draw was at the time. Was the sailing part, and now that's just like a Korean game staple apparently because Lost Ark has sailing as well. So
if people want to be on boats,
well, at least
for some reason,
at least in Korean games they do. So, we'll see. I get an idea obviously after we watch this, but
yeah. Pretty much said my piece on that though. So let's watch this and get our opinions on it because I don't know anything about it. Outside of that, I played the original. So this is ArcheAge 2 reveal trailer and interview breakdown in 3, 2, 1, and go. People who make the game we just talked about. Oh, I can't remember it.
I think Cacao is a service like state.
Oh, okay. Boats.
Mountains.
I think this is on Unreal 5.
This is definitely a jump compared to what I was expecting to look at.
The original game?
Yeah. I love the color
release the gameplay though. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I just don't know why that's a Korean thing.
Oh, Black Desert.
Yeah, it also has a similar look, yeah. Weird. So this has, looks like an action combat system.
Yeah. Finishers? Crazy.
Interesting.
Unless that was a cinematic.
Is that the whole thing?
They're gonna talk, I think.
Don't know who that is. It looked good.
What's up, dude?
네,
Please
아케이지
have a blast.
2는 전 세계적으로 많은 사랑을
ArcheAge
받은
2 is a seamless open-world
아케이지의
action
후속작으로,
MMORPG
심리스
and a sequel to the
오픈월드
globally
액션
acclaimed
MMORPG입니다. PC와
The game is being developed as a multi-platform game that you can enjoy on both PC and console.
Oh.
Where important features that you're focusing on ArcheAge 2. This is for people listening. Our primary focus is on action-packed combat, as well as production for an immersive storyline. We are targeting AAA tier visuals with Unreal Engine 5. I mean, it looks really, really good. That looks fucking great. And intend to offer a non-linear progression-based seamless open-world experience. Can't round those words together. I was trying to catch up. Are there any changes in the lore or the story? ArcheAge 2 shares the same lore as ArcheAge 1, however, the storyline progression is not the same. While ArcheAge 1 is centered around a narrative storyline, ArcheAge 2 will focus more on a personal adventure and personal stories, called Black Desert 2. It has a similar timeline to ArcheAge 1. It will portray a period when Aurora was first discovered, and people are starting to settle there. Interesting. The storyline will involve discovering and solving mysteries of an ancient civilization. Oh, that have been forgotten for thousands of years. I was looking at the visuals.
Yeah.
Leaving it to blend with the natural environment. Do you have any game content you would like to introduce? ArcheAge 1 trade runs. Whoa, what'd that say? ArcheAge is 1. Go back.
Trade 1. Oh.
ArcheAge 1's trade runs were enjoyed by many players. Okay, trade runs. But the system did have some flaws. In ArcheAge 2, we intend to enhance the trade system. You gotta go.
No.
Okay. So that the players are able to do trade runs, alone, in teams, or in raids. Interesting. Another popular feature of ArcheAge 1 was the housing feature. We plan on improving it by adding more customizations. That's good to hear. Allowing players to live in towns with their friends and even creating their own towns with their guild members. Ooh, that's neat.
Is it going to be instance? Because if it's in the...
I hope it is. We would like to express our gratitude to countless users from all around the world who have supported ArcheAge. The development team is working really hard to meet you again with ArcheAge 2. We appreciate all the support. Thank you. I think so. Let's take a look at the gameplay again one more time.
Okay. Sorry, I got things in my head I'm trying to lose.
This one is, it was so brief that like I felt like I didn't take it in fully. I mean, this looks in game.
The vistas are gorgeous.
Yeah. The idea of being able to, and that's the trade run, I'm assuming. There's another MMO I played back in the day. It had like trade route stuff you had to do, which was interesting. No, it's a different game. But the idea of building towns and houses up with your friends, depending on how they do that, sounds really fucking cool. I would hope it's instance though, because just existing, I don't know how you can do that.
I have a hard time believing that was combat. The parry and the finisher.
I mean, it's probably just like a pre-rendered scene, but it looks like it's an engine, so it's probably going to be a feature. All right, what did you have on your mind?
Well, so first off, the visuals are really good. Unreal 5 does that.
Everything's coming out on. I'm like, it looks great. I'm like, I guess this is just gaming if you're doing Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah. The fantasy is like the type of fantasy I like. Like the game visually and like the stuff in it so far that I've seen is like right up my alley. Trying to not get too overhyped because I like to be a little hesitant when it comes to Korean MMOs because
Same.
they usually have systems I don't like in them. But I'm hopeful because visually I'm really into it. The combat looks fun. The enemies look cool. The environments look great. The idea of housing and having your own town and stuff is a really cool idea. I really hope it's instanced. Otherwise, we're going to end up with Star Wars Galaxies again.
Yep.
And I don't want to do that. I don't know, man. It looks really good to me. I'll probably keep my eye on it now. That was a nice, pleasant surprise.
Yeah. It looks modern as fuck. I mean, I can just say it looks good for sure, but like it looks like a modern ass game. The idea of it being an MMO is really exciting to me. Without knowing the details of the MMO, the systems, how they're going to monetize and stuff like that, I can't allow myself to get super excited for it because kind of what you were saying with the systems thing, I was very excited for Black Desert Online before it came out. And then it came out and I tried to get into it and I just couldn't. There's so many little systems, a lot of auto systems, a lot of just systems in general that make that game not appealing to me. But like visually it looked fantastic. So, looking at this, I'm like, I can't get too excited just based off the visuals. But honestly, everything I'm seeing looks like great. Everything here is stuff I want to be doing. The graphics are good. The style is really cool. The combat looks good. The enemies look good. The environments are fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
We're seeing other people on screen as well. So they're already showing the concept of playing with people. Of course, it's going to be an MMO, but like, when we're talking about in-engine, pre-rendered stuff, it looks like other people are playing there. So it just kind of adds more to that this is an actual game for me than just like a concept video, even though it probably just is. But yeah, the visually I'm fucking sold. Like you release this, you say it's an MMO, I'll be playing as soon as it comes out for sure.
Also, with the focus of it being on PC and console, the only other word you got to throw in there is crossplay. Because Final Fantasy 14 does it, and for some reason other people don't. And I think it has been nothing but beneficial to 14.
Well, and ESO is on everything,
but not crossplay.
But they don't play together,
Mod
and it's
support ruined it.
Such a fucking misstep that I think they should put all their effort in to remedy that if they can. Because
just making your community bigger.
Yeah, and that you need community for a successful MMO. ESO would be even more successful than it is now if I could play with people who are on Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah.
It would be so fucking dope. But anyway, I was surprised when they said console and PC. It's not crazy, but I just expect still that MMOs are just going to come out for PC.
Well, yeah, I mean, New World and Lost Ark are on PC.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And both of those could be on console. But then again, even saying it's going to be on console is not enough. It's going to be crossplay because that's huge. That's something that other MMOs aren't offering. That's a huge edge if you're going to try and sell a brand new MMO. So yeah, that's a good point. This is so fucking good looking.
The environments are wonderful.
Yeah. They're like not even just graphically, but like the design I like too. It's like
they're designed
Yeah.
very well.
And it's not just like, and I keep bringing up Black Desert Online, but that was a game that conceptually I thought looked really good. But like it just looked realistic. I was impressed by the graphics. I'm impressed by these graphics, but I'm also impressed by the visual style, the concepts, the structures, the buildings, the vistas. Everything looks like whoever the director is. I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that adds even more to just going, oh, it's shiny looking.
True.
I also like that this is coming from a dev that has worked on a prior MMO that I think is still around. He's talking about like people are still playing it. So we're getting a pedigree with the dev, which gives me trust in this game because I have played ArcheAge. I didn't think it was amazing. I didn't think it was bad though back in the day. If that game has existed long enough that they're willing to make a new one that's this much better looking, I kind of feel a little more safe in their hands when it comes to a live service MMO because they have that much experience. So that's good to hear. Also, them talking about adding the customization with the housing. I don't remember housing in ArcheAge. That was so long ago. But it's good they're even talking about it. The town thing, I'm waiting for the details on that. But the concept, if done well, could be huge. I would like to see someone get creative on how you can even do that in an MMO and make it just work. There's a lot of variables to that.
Yeah, I really like the idea of like if I wanted to play like with our friend circle and just have a town for us.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That'd be
idea.
fucking awesome. Yeah, that would be so cool. Be cool if you could like find a plot or an area and decide to start building and maybe even like give off like lots in the area for people to start pick the type of house they're going to have, start customizing or whatever, and fully build out a thing, or even have shops with NPCs and stuff like that. That'd be really neat. But then like, where do you put that? Is it just there and can other people build there, or is it instanced? So like when we enter this area, but then like why is it even a town if other people can't enter it? So it's like it's tricky unless they have like I don't that would be almost stupid, but like a canyon with an opening, and when you enter it, it's like, oh, you're entering this town now, and you go to like an area that's like an instanced area. Or is it just like you teleport to your town and it's set up in that area?
Yeah, I mean, I know with like, I keep bringing up New World because it's a newer MMO, but with New World, the houses are phased in, so they're not always the same people who own it and stuff. It could be something like that where it's just like phased in, so it'd still be like instance for the people who own it, but if you don't own it, you would just see someone else's type of deal. I don't know.
I didn't play New World enough, but I remember hearing that houses were phased in or whatever, which I thought was really cool because it makes it feel like the town that you're in is being lived in.
When you can go up to the house, you can click on it, and there'd be a list of owners of that lot.
Yeah.
And you could click on theirs and visit their house.
Yeah, which would be cool. It'd also be interesting if they had a predetermined area that you can do that's phased in like that, but then like there's predetermined areas where like a store that anyone can go to is at, so people can go through your town and do things at the vendors and stuff like that, but keep passing through. But maybe this time they pass through, it's like your town, somebody else's town, different setups. That'd be interesting. There's a lot of like I'm sure anybody who's just like, yeah, just put the town there, who cares. The technical aspect is the part that I'm really kind of struggling with. That's the interesting part for me.
Yeah,
how do you do it?
I don't want to play in a game where like there's just people's houses literally everywhere.
Yeah, because then it would
the aesthetic.
It would feel like you're playing Rust. And there's just like a shack here, and there's someone who built a wall across there. You can't pass that area, and aesthetically, you got this gorgeous world. But then like people build. It's subjective, but like somebody's town looks like shit. So like you're like, oh, God, that kind of ruins how this looks for me. So yeah, it's tricky because then like, are you building a survival game? Are you
You're also getting to a point where there's like, especially if it's free to play, there's finite space. Like so,
exactly.
Which is a problem Final Fantasy 14 has with their housing, is there's not enough. There's more players than lots. So, I don't know. I'm sure they have a plan, but I am curious to see how that comes to fruition because it is a very promising prospect, but it's also can also be a nuisance if they do it wrong. So
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, outside of that, overall, this went from something I'd heard of to definitely on my radar now. Me and you are both fans of MMOs. We want new MMOs. We want new good MMOs, not just don't just make one to make one. Although I'm kind of desperate and would like to see what you got. But because I used to try them all out every time a new one came out. I'm like, oh, try this one, try this one, try this one. But now because of that lull in MMOs coming out, it feels like people are being a little more careful and hands-on with the MMOs they're trying to make. And so this is definitely looking like a very, very big effort on what they're doing. And I hope it's good. I don't know much about the trade thing that they talked about that was really popular in ArcheAge. Like I said, there's a couple MMOs back then that had like these trade route things that you could do. And so I'm getting all mixed up now I'm thinking about it. But I'm glad that if that was a popular feature, they're bringing that back. If it's something that was defining of the original ArcheAge, you would expect it to be in this. And so they're bringing it back. That makes sense. But yeah, outside of that, everything looks great. And this is a game that I hope continues to have me interested in. Hopefully when it comes out, it's solid and doesn't have an end game that chases me off because, there's some games I would like to be spending more time with that I just don't want to continue the way they've designed the game. The design is so fucking important. You can have gorgeous graphics, awesome combat. The combat in this looks great too. It looks awesome. But, if you got weird free-to-play systems that feel like not even just predatory, but like it just stunts the progression, then like what am I hanging out here for? So hopefully they're smart about it.
I'm definitely curious to see the actual game itself and not just the visuals, because like visually I think it looks great. But
they nailed it. It looks great.
It needs to feel fun, and like you said, all the things you're going to interact with in the game need to make sense and not feel like a chore. So that is where I'm hesitant, because so far many MMOs fail in that regard.
I agree with that. Overall, though, definitely a good surprise. I am definitely interested in this. So, you got anything else to say?
No. Another one to keep an eye on outside of Ashes of Creation for me. So
yeah, it's exciting seeing people are finally attempting MMOs again. I know there's a couple little ones out there, but no big budget MMOs. So, although if this game does well, I will be curious to see how it affects New World, because New World's in this weird mid area where like it's a new MMO, it's interesting enough you want to play it, but also it's not as fully featured and I don't know, precise in what it's trying to execute as other games that exist already. So if another modern MMO comes out that can give you that better design, I guess it might cloud people's view on New World. So we'll see.
I don't think New World has too much to worry about in that regard. I think their only concern right now is just retain and gather people at this point, because they've already kind of lost most of their players from the initial launch.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that game is the vision, the focus. It's all over the place, so doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. So let's know in the comments, though, what you guys think of ArcheAge 2, reveal trailer, and interview breakdown. Is this a game that's looking interesting to you? What do you think about the console and PC versions of the game? Do you think there'll be cross-play? What are you hoping from it in terms of features? What are things you want from a modern-day MMO? What do you think about the graphics? I assume you think it looks good. I think it'd be hard for anyone to say that game doesn't look good. What do you think about the combat? Do you like an action-y game, or do you want it to be a little more, traditional in the way that it plays? And how do you think they'll do the social stuff with customization of houses and towns? And how should they do that? If you have some ideas that we didn't go over, definitely share them.
Or an article that came out that covers that.
Sure, yeah. If you got info, like legit info, fill us in, because I'd like to know more about this game. And let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to ArcheAge 2. Are you excited for a new MMO? What do you want? Let me know. All right, it's that time again where we read your comments and we reply to them. If you want your comment to be read for sure, type in hashtag AskTLG. Otherwise, I read at random. We have the last Tastecast that we did where we covered Project the Perceiver, which is a open world Chinese-themed action game. We talked about Forspoken and Evil West co-op, which comes out very soon. I'm excited to try it. And we got some comments. I'm not going to read them all, so make sure to type in hashtag AskTLG if I don't read your comment. All right, so let's see. First one we got is from Tom B. It says, I'm 10 hours into God of War, and damn, it's amazing what they still can achieve on the PS4. Definitely taking my time with it, playing on PS4 Pro, and it looks like a native 4K. Just kind of wanted to throw it out there because you're playing on PS4 and it's interesting because we're playing on PS5, and it's good to hear that that you're enjoying that experience. Also,
So I'm playing in performance mode, but
yeah, same. But 10 hours in, you're probably further by now. You're probably beating it by now. Yeah, like I said before, I'm like 14 hours in. So, and I can also confirm that it's a game. I can't talk about it. I was about to say something. But yeah. Definitely glad you're enjoying it, and it's cool to hear that it's running great on PS4 Pro. Sony's knocking out of the park with that because Horizon Forbidden West ran on PS4.
I hope they can make games for their own hardware, but yeah.
But they're
I know.
They're still impressive on PS5 too, so it's like they're not really cutting corners for sure. So it's really cool to see.
I know a lot of people had worries about that because, obviously third-party people did not handle it as well. So
yeah. All right. Let's see. Chevy said, shout out to my sleepy, had a couple beers, can't breathe out of my nose voice. He did. He had a couple beers while we were filming, and I try to avoid that because I have to conduct an episode. I have to think about the routing of the conversation and the topics. It becomes hard when I drink, but you get to sit and just kind of talk with me. So
I also have pretty decent self-control. So
yeah. Well, I have a rule for the show anyway. I don't let people drink a whole lot when we film. So, because we one time
experienced it,
let everybody drink as much as they wanted, and I think it's the only episode I've never put out. I got rid of that episode because there was no conversation really that was good enough for me to share. But we had fun, so
sure.
that was a good time. But yeah, I got like a 2 beer limit on filming. I don't let people drink beyond that. And then yeah, names are sleepy. Breathe out of your nose. You breathe out of your nose?
Almost never, unfortunately.
Get your nose fixed. Let's see. There's another one I wanted to read. Okay, so we got one. I can't read the name, but they gave some information that was actually pretty interesting in terms of the Perceiver. They say, and I got to get a little closer.
I think it's two-part.
They just it's not two-part. They just say historical prototype is very similar to a name I'm not going to try and say. You can check the name on Wikipedia. Gotcha. But they just give some info because I don't know anything about this. They say the Chinese game seen in the video is from the end of the Tang dynasty around 907 AD. The Tang dynasty was a very powerful period in Chinese history, similar to Rome in the West. And the protagonist in the game seems to be trying to save the Tang dynasty, which is about to perish. The character seems to have historical prototype because the protagonist in the game has been emphasizing drama, and there is indeed a person who liked drama and successfully revived the Tang dynasty in history. So we got a little bit of spoiler there. Characters, according to history, this role has failed. After the fall of the Tang dynasty, I guess that happens as well, it was only revived for about 10 years and then died. And so that's pretty similar to Rome. Literary works set in the historical period are very rare, so I'm looking forward to it. Anything to throw out to that?
I mean, I'm very ignorant when it comes to, a lot of China's history and stuff like that.
Chinese history.
So it is interesting to hear this perspective of it, because obviously looking at the game, I don't know what I'm looking at outside of from a video game perspective. I do think it's interesting it's based off history, but I mean, so are a lot of other games and stuff like that. Obviously, I just have more knowledge of those. That being said, the game the drama part. I'm all for that. Especially exaggerating things for the sake of drama, and to connect to that entertainment can be important, because if you're just telling something straight as a history piece, it can sometimes be a little boring. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see when the game comes out how it is received. My only thing with it is I don't know the dev, so there's nothing's been proven to me in that regard, and so I'm just kind of viewing it as this visual spectacle that I was shown, but I don't know what the gameplay is like, and I need to see people's reception when it comes out. So.
Yeah, agreed. Well, first off, thank you for the info. We come off ignorant on this topic, and we've had a couple other videos where we've discussed stuff that we've come off as ignorant, because we are, and some people have been like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, yeah, I know. So I appreciate that you just kind of like gave us this info, because I didn't look it up, and it's fascinating. Honestly, though, what you gave me info-wise makes me a little more interested in the game than I was before, because it tells me that there's an impending tragedy that's coming. There's a fall that's going to happen, and even if it can be stopped now, apparently it inevitably does happen, and so that kind of adds a lot of weight to what the main character is trying to accomplish. And so the trailer, I don't know anything about Tang Dynasty, but in the trailer he mentions Tang a couple times. Tang, I don't know how you're supposed to say that. But without that context, I'm like, oh, there's some shit going down, dude, but I don't know what the fuck that shit is. So actually getting some background on that makes me go like, oh, okay, so there's some stakes, there's some stuff he's fighting for. So it's pretty cool and interesting, and this is definitely something I would like to look into. 907 AD is a while ago, so that's some pretty old history. And so I honestly am like really ignorant on Chinese history. I know, like, the Three Kingdoms stuff, I don't know that super well, but like I've played enough.
It's just been portrayed a lot.
I've played a lot of Dynasty Warriors, and they repeat the stories over and over again. I've watched a lot of Chinese cinema that likes to play around with the Three Kingdoms.
Even when I watched Your Boy Kong Ming, that's about a guy who comes from the Three Kingdoms era. So.
Yeah, so the history we hear from Chinese history the most, at least here, is typically the Three Kingdoms. It's probably one of the more defining moments in Chinese history, probably. I'm ignorant, but I'm just gathering that because it's referenced so much. There's so many, people from that whole situation that are still talked about to this day. So obviously some pretty big things happened there. But yeah, before that, I don't know anything. So yeah, very cool. And thank you for explaining all that. I appreciate it. All right, well, that's going to do it for this. Let us know. Don't let us know in the comments. If you want your comment read next time, make sure to type in #STLG, and I will put you to the front of the line, and we will read that and reply to it first. Otherwise, I pick at random. But that's going to do it for this episode of Tastecast, episode 177. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check out our socials and streams, linked down below. Check out our Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us in audio form, I have a TikTok link down below. You can watch my shorts there. At some point, I'll get them on YouTube, but I still don't have access to shorts. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than like, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you're brand new, my name's Seth. This has been Chevy. Thank you for joining me, Chevy. Thank you for joining me, all of you. And until the next episode, have a good one, and take it easy.